My boyfriend and my best friend cheated on me. I just found out my friends all knew. I found out a month ago that the love of my life and my best friend have been having an affair for at least the past year. That's devastating. After looking into it more, not only did all of our friends know, but they have also been actively hanging out with them. That's disgusting. I'm a socially awkward individual, so making friends for me is hard. I met all of them through my best friend, so I guess it's natural that they chose him over me. By the way, this comes from Visual Cow 657 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So, I hated all of them. I spent 24/7 with one of them when their parent died because they didn't want to be alone and were a danger to themselves. I was there for another when her boss was harassing her and she needed help finding a new job. I let another one stay at my place for free for 3 months because his parents kicked him out when he told them he was gay. All 6 of those a-holes had been through so much, and I was there for every one of them. Now, I realized they all just kept me around to use me when they needed, including my girlfriend and best friend. I helped the man start his business when no one would invest in him, still hasn't really taken off, and he still asks for my time to help him do things. I've been working day and night to help her pay off the medical bills from her surgery after she had an accident. I've been out of the house for a few months because my mother was sick and I needed to help her, but I still commute back 10 hours every weekend to make sure my girlfriend is doing all right. OP, you're just doing too much. I have gone through her phone and seen all the pictures, the flirty messages, and the group chats. Ouch. All of them planning outings, meetings, and whatnot. I've seen the disparaging messages about me, the I love yous, oh my God, and them basically flip-flopping between still loving me, leaving me, not wanting to hurt me anymore, and then realizing they need me. They all still need me. I was pissed, and I was so angry I scared myself. The thing about being the go-to guy for help and being the quiet one is that people trust you. They tell you things that can get you in a lot of trouble. Oh, does Opie have blackmail material? I know things. I spent the past month preparing my plan, getting everything in order to absolutely implode their lives in a way you can never recover without someone altruistically helping you out. But who will help them? Not me. And they can't ask each other because they will all be in the same dang boat. Everything was ready. I had pictures, videos, and text logs. Oh my God, Opie really had receipts. The lease would have been up in December. I wasn't renewing that. I have a new job lined up which would pay less, but I know I will enjoy. All my main items were out and the rest I didn't care for. I pretended to go out to my mom's. I waited an hour and came back. I could see them through the windows, him and her cuddling and kissing, while they all sat around chatting like it's a regular day. They were hugging and kissing each other in front of everyone? Oh my God, that's disgusting.
No class whatsoever.
I took a picture of that scene. I was ready to send the texts and emails, basically ready to set their lives ablaze. But I couldn't. No matter how much someone has hurt me, I can't be responsible for ruining someone's life. Sure, they did the things and I was just unearthing them. It would have still been my decision that burned them all, and there would have been collateral damage to people who did nothing. Opie is truly the bigger person here.
You don't want to cause collateral damage with your shenanigans.
But it's like, damn, all of these people were terrible to you. I had come this far and had to do something though, so I just sent the picture in the group chat and looked in. One by one, they checked the message and started panicking, I guess. One of them finally spots my car and I see them all look at me. Opie's like in the window, just like holding up a camera, just waiting for someone to notice him. I don't know what was going on in their heads. Was it panic, regret, guilt, sadness? Who knows? I started my car, and as I started driving off, my ex came out barefoot in the cold, moving as fast as she could in her state. I don't know if she was crying because of guilt or regret, but I didn't care. I drove off to my mom. They called me a bunch of times and sent me thousands of messages. I used to read all of them, and with each one, I felt less for them. It went from asking to forgiveness, to anger, to groveling, basically to questions about how they will do the things I used to do for all of them. So ridiculous. So be like, how am I going to get to my job if no one drives me? And Opie's like, what?
Yeah, they're like, didn't you know you signed up to be the group parent? You take care of all of us.
And we do nothing for you.
And we do nothing for you except clearly upset you.
Just make you mad. I don't care. I'm getting a new number on Monday. I still get a new sobbing voicemail from my ex every 20 to 30 minutes asking for me to come back. I get texts from my ex-best friend to come back and beat him up, that he would sell everything he owns and give it to me. My friends apologizing for their parts and wanting to be pals again. I don't know what drives this, but they know I've read some of them. I think I'm over it. I don't feel angry anymore, and I feel happy I didn't do what they did to me. It would never have been satisfying for me. And there is an update. What are your thoughts right now?
I think the good move is to be over it. I think it's just move on. I think their attempt to sort of, I don't know, for him to be like, come here and I'll just let you beat me up and I'll sell everything that I own. It's like, even if they did do that,
it wouldn't change anything.
It's never going to be back to where it was. Nothing fixes that. That it would just be like, wow, not only do I have the trauma of everything else that I've had to go through, but I just beat up my best friend. And I don't feel good about it.
Yeah. Weird behavior.
Let them go. They're in the past now. Send them off to the sun.
Anyone who is willing to lie for that long is insane.
Yeah.
About that? That's crazy. That's crazy behavior. And there is an update. Hi, everyone. I happen to remember this account, so I decided, why not update you all? First of all, my mom is doing much better and is preparing for a 5K. Her goal is to complete one by 2025. Thank you for all your well wishes. I would like to tell you everything with me is going great, and I'm doing amazing. That my ex-friends and girlfriend are doing terribly and are destitute. Life isn't a movie or a storybook, and things don't work out the way we would like them to.
Oh, wait. Oh, no.
But it can get pretty close to one.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I like the switch up there.
That was a double switch up.
Yeah. I'm doing amazing. My new job has been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life since I stopped paying for unnecessary medical bills and rent for a place I never really cared for. I've saved so much money. I decided to finally invest that money into something worthwhile, myself. I didn't hit the gym or anything, but I did get some work done on my teeth. Nice. Get some Invisalign?
Some new chompers?
Ooh. They had some minor discoloration. When they shaped it for a crown and removed the layers, it looked like it was painted with Pepsi or something. Damn. It was a boost in confidence. I started buying more and more clothes and building outfits. I started anti-anxiety meds, which have brought me out of my shell. I feel so much better. I met someone a few weeks ago. We've been talking through text and it seems to be going well. I don't really know what's going on with the people I left behind. I heard rumors that came from a long chain of people, so don't trust them really. My ex and ex-best friend are having a baby, which has caused financial issue for them with the medical debt and struggling business venture, but are somehow making it work.
Good for them, I guess, for making it work, but also good on you for staying away from that friend group because now they've got a baby on the way.
Oh, I realized he was talking about the girl that betrayed him. But I mean, I guess I was like, I love that. No, I'm changing my energy a little bit. It's still it's fine, I guess.
People deserve to have their pregnancy celebrated,
Yeah.
I suppose, even given the context. But good on you for getting out of there before you had to deal with that.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
I love that. There we go.
Yeah.
Another one of them has gotten engaged to his girlfriend. Last I remember, he was single, so don't even know for how long they've been involved. The one I housed for 3 months is doing fine as well, but may have gotten an STD from one of his one-night buddies. I love that. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't love that. I'm just joking. One-night buddies.
That's what I love about that is one-night buddies.
I have no information on the last dude. So it seems like they're all getting their lives are not doing that great.
I think without OP, it would have been a lot worse off. That's where they're at right now.
So a mixed bag of good for me and a little bad for them, but not terrible. Just normal life issues. It's as close as one gets to karmic justice, I guess. The last contact I had with my ex was an email 6 months ago. She detailed how sorry she was about the fallout of her actions. She just fell in love with him while still loving me and didn't really know how to proceed from there. Not like that. Not like how you did.
Not at all what you did.
That was the worst way to do it, actually.
I can empathize with that, though. Like, life can get complicated, and if you have real feelings for two people at the same time, it's hard to navigate. Just don't do it like she did.
Talk to your partner. It was a bad time for her as she relied on me so much that made her resentful. And something about being with him made her feel in control. It's a terrible reason. You know what you can control? joining us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube. Just tap our profile.
That's right.
And there is a little bit left, but do you have any closing thoughts?
I mean, I will say this. I think it's probably a blessing in disguise that OP's ultimate revenge plan sort of got, nixed. Because it ended up working out just fine. You're on the up, they're on the down, and you didn't have to go out of your way to do it. And that stuff doesn't make you feel good on the tail end of it.
There is a little bit left to the story. She ended it with how much she regrets her actions and the hurt she caused, but doesn't regret loving me or him, and that she still loves us both and will always be here if I need her. I never responded because there was no need. I can understand her perspective in this. Doesn't mean I condone her actions, but I can somewhat forgive her and move on from this permanently. Humans are complex, and so is love. Sometimes we hurt the ones we love the most. While I don't like her or her actions, I do believe she loved us both. She doesn't seem to have any reason to lie. Anyway, c'est la vie. Having a good evening, guys, and don't spend your energy getting upset or anything on my behalf. And that is the end.
What a kind closing statement.
So kind.
So don't get any of your energy wrapped up in my story.
I forbid my boyfriend from going to a wedding with his ex-girlfriend, especially since I wasn't invited.
A guy just found out how girlfriends work. He's like, I don't invite my ex? I invite the one I'm with now?
For context, me and my boyfriend Sam have been together for a year and a half. We broke up last summer for 2 months, but got back together. During our break, Sam met up with his ex-girlfriend, Rachel, whom he dated for 4 years prior to our relationship. By the way, this comes from Candid Plankton on the OK Storytime subreddit. So, they only met once, and nothing came of it. However, Rachel still has feelings for Sam and was hoping they would rekindle things. Rachel was enraged and threw a fit whenever she found out that me and Sam got back together. She sent him a lot of really nasty messages and continued to do so for several months afterward, even though he never responded to her. Rachel and Sam both have mutual friends who are getting married. They were both asked to be bridesmaids and groomsmen in the wedding. In February, Rachel asked the bride if it would be okay if Sam did not have a +1 for the wedding because she wouldn't be able to handle seeing him with anyone else. I don't think you can ask that. Whenever Sam found out, he immediately contacted both the bride and groom. They assured him that Rachel's request would not have an impact on the decision for +1. Since then, she has still continued to try to reach out to Sam, including going as far as contacting me via Instagram regarding the upcoming wedding. She started to harass me and even admitted that contacting me was for her own self-gain. In April, me and Sam were both invited to the engagement party. Of course, Rachel was there. But we were having such a great time that we barely even noticed her existence. At 3 a.m. that night, Rachel texted Sam yet again, degrading both of us. She told Sam that he was not going to be getting a +1 to the wedding and to not make a fuss about it like last time. I found the comment odd because invitations had not been sent out yet. Why is she the one telling him this instead of the bride or groom? Regardless, Sam finally responded to Rachel and told us to never contact us again. Fast forward to the present day. Sam got the wedding invitation and it did not include a +1. He contacted the groom and the response was that they had to prioritize other couples who have been together longer, live together, and or both know the bride and groom due to the budget. I know 100% that a wedding should only be about the bride and groom and what they want. If they don't want Sam to have a +1, that is their call. I'm not entirely convinced that Rachel did not have a part in that decision. She's a lot closer to the bride than Sam is to the groom. So am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend not to go to the wedding without me? This would mean he would have to drop out of being a groomsman. The only reason I felt uncomfortable with him going is due to the relentless harassment about the wedding by Rachel. If she had been respectful and left us alone, I would have no problem with him going without me. However, that was not the case. She has continuously disrespected me, my boyfriend, and our relationship. She has no clue what a boundary is. I just want this to be over. And there is an update, and I have thoughts.
I do too.
What are your thoughts?
We both got thoughts. I do think, especially because he's a groomsman, I think if you kept him from going to this, it would be an a-hole move.
I think it would be an a-hole move to say you cannot go to this wedding, especially because he's been so respectful about this whole situation. He's been like, you know what? I'm cutting Rachel off.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to her. She texted me. I said, don't talk to me ever again.
He's done all the right things in terms of how to communicate with the person who's the problem. The person who's the problem is not getting married. No. It's not their wedding. This person is just
side person. Mm-hmm. And I think that if he doesn't want to go, that's a different story. But I don't think that you can not allow him to go.
You can't. Because also that means she's winning then. If you don't allow him to go, Rachel just won that entire encounter. She has power over your existence. Mm-hmm. This completely...
Just don't even think about it.
Irrelevant woman, Rachel, is now going to dictate what you and your husband can do?
Your relationship has lasted the test of time. There's not. So don't let her...
They are married, right? OP is married to this?
No. I think that's her boyfriend.
Oh, just boyfriend? Never mind.
But they're lasting.
So I always either assume people are married or too many assumptions.
But there's an update. My boyfriend talked to the groom. Due to the budget, they had to limit +1s to couples who live together or who will be traveling out of town to attend. Couples that live together? That's such a specific...
Yeah, that feels like a gotcha type thing. And it does feel like Rachel's influencing this a little bit, clearly.
I don't know. Capacity. Yeah, it feels like she said before, I'm going to make sure that you can't bring your girlfriend.
It's not going to be like, we don't want anyone who's been living in sin. Or wait, is it the opposite? People who don't live together. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They're like, we only want you if you're living in sin. I just think that, it seems like they said that OP's boyfriend was one of the groomsmen.
You should let him take his girlfriend to the wedding. He's your groomsman. He's one of the boys.
The wedding is being paid for by the bride's family. It seems like they had an input on who was invited. The groom did not know the full extent of Rachel's behavior towards me and my boyfriend. The groom was also surprised to hear Rachel told my boyfriend in April he would not be getting a +1, as they had not decided at that time. Suspicious. My boyfriend did come to see that it was disrespectful for the bride and groom to not allow him to have a +1. Even if his ex was not attending, the wedding party should have priority over regular guests. With that being said, he does not want to completely burn a bridge with the groom, which I don't want that to happen either. We both agreed it will be fine for him to attend the ceremony, but skip the reception. The groom said I would be allowed to attend the rehearsal dinner and welcome party. As far as Rachel, my boyfriend plans to ignore her and immediately shut down any of her antics. My boyfriend is truly disgusted with Rachel and her psychotic behavior. Ultimately, she wanted to break things up between me and my boyfriend, but she's only made us stronger. And there is another update.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are jacked in the relationship department.
Your relationship has so many veins in its arms because it's so yoked.
You're
jacked.
Drinking the relationship protein powder.
Yeah, and you're getting relationship steroids.
Yeah.
As well.
Kimberly Fine says Rachel influenced them, but they could just be hoping to avoid any last-minute breakups that would waste a plate cost. Seems like they've been together for some time, I guess, because they did break up for 2 months.
Oh, wait, I forgot about that. Yeah, that is a little... Maybe that's why they're like, only if you're living in sin. If you're committed enough to live in sin, then you can come to our wedding.
But it seems like you guys aren't willing to do that, so... But there's an update. The groom told my boyfriend months ago that I would be allowed to attend the rehearsal dinner, welcome party, and part of the reception. We were told I would not be allowed to attend the ceremony or dinner portion of the reception due to the budget. After the formalities are completed, I will be allowed to attend. A week before the wedding, the groom invited my boyfriend to brunch on Sunday, the day after the wedding. He said it was going to be super cash thing. I, however, was not invited to this brunch. But that's even weirder. That's not even, unless they're paying for the brunch, I would assume that...
Secret brunch.
What's going on here? My boyfriend reassured me he would not be attending without me. During the wedding rehearsal, my boyfriend decided to double check with the groom about me coming to the rehearsal dinner. Turns out I had been uninvited from the dinner.
Oh, so now you're uninvited from everything.
Twice, OP has been told that she was allowed to come to these events and is being uninvited.
Okay, I think at this point, if you're the husband, you got to not go on principle, being like, why are you guys... Oh, the boyfriend.
The boyfriend.
I keep assuming that these people are married. I keep assuming that they're married.
They're acting
They're not
so
even
strong.
living in sin.
They're not. Well, it wouldn't be living in sin if they were.
Okay, this is a really hard spot to be in.
Yeah, I understand.
You're picking between the guy getting married, your buddy, your homie, and they're clearly disrespecting your girlfriend. Ooh, that's a rough spot to be in.
Yeah, turns out I had been uninvited from the dinner. We were informed of this 30 minutes before the start. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. The groom told my boyfriend I did not have a seat, but he would love to have me at the welcome party afterward. My boyfriend skipped the rehearsal dinner. This boyfriend is great.
Checking every box right now.
We ended up going to a local bar until the welcome party started. Once we got to the welcome party, the groom came up to me and apologized for the politics, which sounds less like a budget issue and more like Rachel was throwing a fit.
Yeah, sounds like you've just let the cat out of the bag.
Sounds like you just said something you didn't mean to say. He told me he was happy I was there and looked forward to having me at the reception tomorrow. 2 people commented on us missing the rehearsal dinner, but I just changed the subject. After the welcome party ended, we all rallied to a bar close by. I was standing at the bar talking to one of the guests when the bride inputted herself into our conversation. The bride would only look at and talk to the other girl, even though I was adding input into the conversation. It was just like the interview did with Blake Lively. I felt so uncomfortable that I ended up walking away. The next day before the wedding, I met up for brunch with the girl. She informed me that as soon as I walked away, the bride started talking crap about me. The bride told her I was originally invited to the wedding, but that Rachel, my boyfriend's ex, said she would not be able to handle it. Rachel, figure it out. The girl said it seemed like the bride was trying to get her to not be friends with me and to exclude me. She said it seemed like the bride was trying to get her to take Rachel's side as well. The bride admitted she was being petty, but that she just didn't care. Mind you, I had just met this girl and we were just casually chatting at the bar. Why the bride wanted to focus on causing drama and excluding me the night before her wedding is beyond me. Like, girl, focus on getting married. You need to focus on your wedding. Around 8 p.m. is when all the formalities were finished and I was able to attend. I'm not gonna lie, dancing with my boyfriend in front of his ex-girlfriend felt extremely good. I love that for you. I swear we did not do it on purpose, but wherever his ex went, we were always right there. She could not avoid us even if she tried. At one point, the bride and groom were in the center dancing. I was directly across from his ex in her line of sight. She completely turned her back just so that she couldn't see me, even though everyone else was facing forward. The only people who would talk to us were the other groomsmen and their dates. We ended up telling several of them the full story because they had no idea. So the whole night felt like sweet revenge. I will say many times the groom came up to me and said he was happy I was there. Whether he meant it or it was performative, I have no idea. I also don't care at this point. The only reason my boyfriend did not drop out of the wedding was because we were told I was not invited due to the budget. We were assured several times that it had nothing to do with the ex, which we now know is not true. If my boyfriend had been given the full truth, he would have dropped out. Yes, we know this because the boyfriend stands on business.
On the business at all times.
Whenever I found out the truth, it was already too late. Yeah, because they told you 30 minutes before the thing.
They tried their best to ruin it, but you know who's really been coming in clutch is all the groomsmen, the boyfriend, all the boys. The boys are coming in clutch in the story.
They know how to do it. My boyfriend was at the venue taking pictures, and the wedding was starting in an hour. And you know what started an hour ago? This live. And you can join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube. Just tap our profile. Once the couple gets back from their honeymoon, I and my boyfriend plan on having a conversation with the groom. My boyfriend said he will be reevaluating their friendship. And that is the end of that story. I think that's very fair. I think we have OP and her excellent boyfriend who, as we said, stood on that business. And we have a groomsman and a bridesmaid who are just caring about Rachel and her problems and not about the groomsman, OP's boyfriend. So we don't need them. We don't want them.
Don't need them.
My wife cheated on me, so I refused to talk to her until she was on her deathbed.
Never too late?
I mean, sometimes. So I, 45 male, had a previous relationship with Lucifer, names made up for privacy, 43 female. We were married for 5 years and dated for 7. From this, we had 3 kids. Again, names made up for privacy, Dean, 21 male, Kylie, 19 female, and Jax, 17 male. By the way, this comes from user Bulky Monitor 4650 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, context. A few months before I filed for divorce, I noticed Lucifer becoming increasingly controlling and paranoid. Like if I went out, she needed to know where I was going. Example, I went to my nan's flat to help her, along with my uncle, get some new heavy furniture inside the flat. Despite the fact that I had told her earlier where I was going, she demanded to know where I was going. I researched why these types of things might happen, and I found out it might be a sign of cheating.
Projection.
Turns out, I was right. Basically, a friend of mine saw her and another man kissing and flirting inside a restaurant where he was with his siblings and mom. He sent me photos. I filed for divorce, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. I didn't really care what I got in the divorce. I only pushed for 80-20 custody and to keep my money. Surprisingly, she didn't contest anything except the custody. I got 70-30 instead of 80-20, but hey, I picked myself up because I still had the majority custody. Anyway, this year, My ex got terminal cancer.
Dang.
When Dean told me, Kylie, and Jax, I didn't really care. I comforted my kids, but personally, I didn't care. In fact, I'm ashamed of myself because of this. I was kind of excited to get full custody of Jax. Oh no, dude. Yeah, Dean has already moved out and Kylie decided she wanted to stay with me when she turned 18. So a few days after, I got a call from Dean. He told me that Lucifer was bedridden and she had asked Dean to talk to me.
Oh, wow.
Basically, her last wish was to have one last conversation with me. I told Dean quite bluntly, I'll admit, that no, I would not talk to her. Oof. All care I had for this woman evaporated when I found out she cheated on me. Dean understood, but told me to expect a call from his maternal side as they had basically treated her like the world revolved around her in her last few months. Somehow my ex-in-laws got my number and have been bombarding me with texts and calls, calling me heartless and evil for not granting my ex her final wish. But all of Lucifer's family and a few mutual friends are on her side. And we do have an update.
I'm gonna be real. I would go.
Yeah, dude. Of course, I would go.
I know everyone in the comments are gonna disagree with us.
Let's hit this update. Hi! Yesterday, I posted a small story about denying my ex-wife her last wish. Anyway, the reason I say this is technically an update is because it's only a small update, and I mean small. It's mostly just collectively responding to some general comments.
She died.
Firstly, thanks for all the advice, love, hate, and laughter about Lucifer's chosen name. Secondly, to all those saying that she's getting her karma with cancer, please stop.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Please shut up,
I was
guys.
this close to saying that as a fun joke, but that was even too far.
Yeah, you got it. I don't think cheating equals get cancer and die. Come on. For real? I don't know. I might not like her, but I couldn't wish cancer, let alone terminal cancer, on anyone. Not even the woman who made my life a misery for a long few months. It's kind of messed up to say that sort of thing. I also want to talk about my resentment to my ex. To be clear, I do not hate her. Why? That would require me using energy to think about her. I personally think this is energy wasted. That's worse than hate, dog. What you just described is worse than hate.
Yeah.
I rarely have to do anyway. Even more rare now that 2 of my kids don't live with her part-time anymore. To the few hurling insults at me, take a hike. If you're gonna give your opinion on something, do it respectfully. And now the tiny update. Many of you gave me the advice to not speak to Lucifer in person and instead write her a letter or make her a video. I've spoken to all my kids collectively and asked them their opinions. I also told them that what was previously suggested above would be the only way that I would grant her this wish. My kids all decided that while they would like me to speak to her, they totally understand if I don't want to. I told them that I'm seriously considering writing a letter or making a video for the nth time in that conversation, but that I need more time to decide if that's what I want to do. So I turned to the internet strangers again. Advice would be greatly appreciated.
It must have been nasty.
I mean,
that divorce. If he's not even willing to go there, write a letter or a video.
Like, how traumatizing was the catching them in the act? I assume they were caught in the act. Otherwise, I don't know. Look, a dying person's last wish is one thing. When it's the person who's also the mother of your children. Here's the edit. I'll start off with the 2 main questions. One was, did I talk to her? I ended up choosing not to. Oh, come on, man. At first, a few months ago, I decided I would in person for the sake of my kids. However, upon arriving at the hospital, I began hyperventilating and nearly passed out.
Oh, this is pretty bad then.
After this, I went back on my word and decided not to. I did not think risking my own life just to speak to someone I have not seen in a very long time was worth it. Risking your life?
He was hyperventilating and passed out.
You're at the hospital. If there's any place to have an issue,
he feels uncomfortable.
It's right there.
Yeah, but he feels uncomfortable and he doesn't want to do it.
I don't know. This must have been so bad for OP.
Oh yeah.
Clearly trauma.
Yeah.
Traumatizing. I just wish he would have been able to work through it in a way that would allow catharsis in this moment. The second question is pretty much the same sort of thing. Did I make her a video call or write her a letter? I also considered this. However, after I decided I might, something happened that made it impossible.
No.
Let me catch you up first.
We already know.
Shortly after my post, some of Lucifer's relatives that had been attacking me began to publicly attack me on social media. I was attacked by even more people. Most of these people I do not know. The posts were taken down when my 3 kids sat down at their mother's relatives relatives and told them in no uncertain terms that they would cut contact if this kind of thing continued.
Nice.
This seemed to stop it. I'm incredibly grateful and feel blessed that my kids did this for me. They didn't have to, but they did. Shortly after this, we received news that Lucifer might actually come out alive. What a twist!
Let's go.
Basically, what was unaliving her had sort of become benign, and the doctors were working on treatment. This was short-lived. Oh, well, that sucks.
There was a chance.
Just last week, Lucifer passed in her sleep.
Dang.
My children and their family are incredibly upset. I have comforted my kids and done my best to support them the whole way through. Yeah, never mind. I'm fine. My kids have decided to begin planning her funeral. I have decided to attend at the request of my eldest Dean and at the request of a mutual friend of mine and Lucifer's, who I'll call John, 42 male. He supported me despite still being friends with Lucifer through the whole divorce process. I feel as though I owe it to him. And by the way, you owe it to us to join us live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
Tippity tap, tap, tap.
Do it.
You're disappointed in OP.
I don't know if I'm disappointed in OP. I think I'm more just disappointed in this whole situation where clearly there was some very real trauma response just going, thinking about talking to her. And I hope OP, goes to therapy to address that.
Yeah.
And works through it. But, it just really sounds like they weren't in a place where they were physically able to even have a conversation.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. I am kind of confused at the whole, I'm going to go to the funeral at the behest of someone else. There.
And a lot of those family members attacked you too. I'm confused about that too.
It's confusing to want to go to the funeral after, not doing the letter and not doing the conversation.
Yeah.
And the family attacked you. It's
I don't know why I don't know why Lucifer didn't write a letter to OP. Or have someone write it for him.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
John has told me that he'll sit with me and make sure none of Lucifer's family trouble me. So that's good. My youngest and my middle, Jax and Kylie, have agreed to do a similar thing by speaking to their relatives and distracting them. It's not fully planned yet, and I will update you in maybe a month when the funeral takes place. And that is the end of the story. So no update post-funeral. I really hope you just didn't go.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think you need to be there for the wake or the funeral. If that conversation was going to give you an anxiety attack, I can't imagine what kind of emotions and feelings that a funeral will stir up in you could also cause you to experience.
Yeah. Good luck, OP.
Yeah.
Be ready. Be prepared.
Therapy. I suggest therapy.
But that's the end of that episode.
And that's why we're moving.
No. Into that story.
That's the end of that story. So we're going to go to our next one.
I broke up with my ex to chase my dreams, but I failed. So now I want to get back together.
You know where home at.
This is my first post ever, and English is not my first language, so apologies for any mistakes. No worries, OP. My ex-partner, 43 male, and I, 41 female, met each other 3 years ago and have dated for almost 2. We have, from the beginning, been a long-distance relationship. I met him on Tinder, and in our first date, the second phrase after nice to meet you was, I'm leaving this town soon. The very next day, I was driving to the place that ended up being my home for 2.5 years to have an interview for a job. We kept on dating and having a great time, knowing that I was moving 2 hours away from where he lives. And by the way, this is directly from our subreddit, so it's one of our own.
Our family member.
Our kin. This is our kin in here. By the way, this comes from Luaz5 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I never thought we had a future together, but when everything was ready for me to move, he told me, don't you think that you'll get rid of me that easy? And less than 2 months since our first date, he was helping me move up to this tiny but beautiful town up north. Things were great for almost 2 years. He is the best relationship I've ever had. Traveling for 2 hours every now and then to see each other for maybe 2 days was completely worth it. I was enjoying my new job as I was also building my chances to pursue a stargazer career in the same company. I was living my dream life for the first time in years. The chances of getting closer to one of my childhood dreams was perfect. The first 1.5 years, I couldn't change teams due to the lack of staff in the restaurant where I was the duty manager. But working in afternoon and night hours, it gave me the
chance of studying animation online and getting a degree in this country that I'm calling home now. 2023 was a hard year trying to keep up with work, studying, and making time to see my partner. While I was trying to keep up with all of that, my brain started to arrange plans for the future because doing all the things I was doing was not enough. At mid-year, I came up with the brilliant idea of moving to the capital city in 2024 to chase opportunities as an animator or to develop my artistic skills. I have a degree in fine arts from back home. This city is more than 15 hours away driving, including a ferry. And here is where things start to go a bit south. He has 2 boys, years 5 and 3 at the time that we met, and I adore them both. Even when I decided to not have my own kids, I enjoyed being around them. I love to be around kids. I have 6 nibblings. Kids allow me to be the child that I am still in my 40s. That's sweet. Him having kids means that he is not able to move around the country and be as carefree as I am. And that was something that I knew from the beginning, as same as he knew he was dating someone who has decided to chase dreams and opportunities as they arise. I was very upfront from the start that I wasn't moving to his city. There was nothing for me them other than him. I am very sure I heard him a couple of times when friends of his asked me when we were moving in together, and I bluntly stated that I was never moving to his city.
Oh man.
Dang, you gotta say that.
That is pretty tough.
You gotta say that in the right way. I know it sounds rough when I put it that way, but we had a very deep and rough talk about this. I spent my entire life giving up my dreams for others. My last relationship before him left me after 7 years when I decided to stay in this country for him. I wanted to get back home and be around my family and friends. I ended up working for myself for 1.5 years, which is the roughest one of my life. And I met him. In this time, I learned to put myself first. I understood that a partnership, friendship, and family are important, but me and my dreams have to come first. Because every time I put others' needs before mine, I ended up hurting myself and, worst of all, blaming others for that when I was the one making that choice. I learned to be honest with me and others. I understood that to be able to have a happy and fulfilling relationship, you need to be honest about what you can give, and also know that and understand what your partner is able to give. It sounds like they've learned a lot of great lessons, even though
together
the process wasn't very good, but you know, you got there eventually. To make my already long story a bit shorter, we both put all the cards on the table about what we wanted for the future. I wanted to try my luck in the big city and work as an artist. Go you. And at the beginning, he told me he was happy to try an even longer distance relationship, and I was hesitant but happy to give it a try. All changed in one weekend in September. I was so sick and finally decided to take some time off, something I was not able to do because I was the only duty manager in the restaurant. I told him that I was not going to work for 5 straight days and that I could go to his house. He has the kids on that weekend, so he could not visit me. He was happy to have me there, even though he knew that I would probably be in bed all the time. After that weekend, I noticed a shift in him. I am very vocal and he is more the quiet type, and he is great with communicating, but sometimes I have to press him to talk. We were video calling and I have asked him a couple of times about his week and what he was up to. In more than an hour long talk, he kept repeating that he has nothing to say until he finally dropped the bomb. He has realized after that weekend that he wanted to live with me full time.
Oh wow, moving with you? That's cool.
Whoa.
That's cool.
That, as horrible as it sounds, his words, having me sick and being able to take care of me has made him realize that seeing each other 2 days every other week was not enough for him. We ended up having our first fight. Whoa. But this sounds so sweet though. It sounds like such nice things.
She may feel like she's having to give up more of herself.
Yeah. After some more talking over time, we both have to accept that our plans for life were not aligned. Sometimes love is not enough. And as sad as it was when we ended our relationship, this happened a bit more than a year ago. 2024 has started and gone in the blink of an eye. I went back home to my country to take a good break and to see my family and friends. I've been there for a year for a short time after missing them for more than 4 years. So this time I took a couple of months to enjoy them. I wanted to take my mom to Europe, probably the last trip I will have with her, and use the break to come back strong and plan my move to the big city. My trip came and went. I arrived to this country again and started to organize my moving. What I thought would take me weeks ended up being months of looking for jobs and getting rejected. After 3 months of that dance, I decided to move in anyways. I have landed a casual job and I was sure I could find something else once I move. I've been living here for 2 months and a couple of weeks ago decided to go back to the tiny town I used to live in. My dreams of making it in the big city have crushed me so bad. Nothing went as planned and I cannot keep on waiting on answers from jobs because I'm out of money. I am a complete mess emotionally and financially, feeling like a failure with no one here to cry to.
Hey, that is so tough.
Oh my gosh. Weeks after I moved in, my ex contacted to check on me. We have been texting in the last year to catch up from time to time, always keeping boundaries in place. I put him up to speed that things were not going great here, but I was giving it a try. Maybe a week after I told him that things got more complicated here and that I was thinking of going back to the town I was living in before. We ended up doing a video call. It was the first time in a year that we saw each other again.
Oh, wow.
That's such a long time. After that, we have been talking every other day. He has been a great company in this process. 2 days ago, he asked me if we can talk about us again. My response was that I needed to be in a better place to think about us getting back together. On one hand, I do not want to go back to running to him because I am in a bad place. I am of the belief that if someone is in your life, they are there to add happiness and not to make you happy. Okay, I like that. Just as a little extra. You should be happy on your own before entering a relationship. Otherwise, you are making the other person responsible for you, and that is very selfish. By the way, we can always add happiness into your life if you just join us live every weekday, 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
Boom, boom.
So easy. So, and there's more to the story, but let's discuss this so far.
Some people can handle long distance relationships. Some people can't.
Yeah.
This sounds like a rom-com in a way.
That's just so sad for OP, like having those dreams crushed. I am one with lots of dreams myself, and that would just like be so sad if just you were trying so hard to do everything you could and just like nothing was working. Like I know that there's such a mindset around it, like, you know, don't give up, it's just around the corner, but like that might be true, but doing it is so hard. But in the other hand, I just want to be selfish and run to him right now. I've been crying in my room in the last few days trying to pack up my life and not feel like a failure for chasing my dreams that has taken me to a financial ruin. I am trying to be an adult, but I have called him again yesterday and we have been texting like before when we were dating all day today. So here is where I am, writing this long story to ask strangers what to do. I will be moving back closer to him in a few days, and all I want to do is run into his arms, and all I want is for him to rescue me. This is literally a rom-com.
It really is.
This is so cute. But I know I am not able to give him the life that he wants. I can't settle down in a place that it has nothing to offer me. And I know that even though the city hasn't worked this time, I will try again in the future. I'm divided in half and I do not want to be so selfish, but at the same time, I still love him so much.
It's tough. I say just run back to him, see if he'll take you in. He checked up on you. I think he still has a lot of feelings for you.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think she knows that he will take her back if she does run into him. But then that might mean that she doesn't get to live out her dreams.
I think you could still figure out your dreams.
I think you totally can.
I don't like being around people with small minds or being like, you can only do this or your only way to live life is this way.
With limits.
Yeah, with limits. There's tons of different ways you can live out your dream.
Yeah.
You can explore that. I think you can explore that and also be with the love of your life.
I refuse to put my boyfriend on life insurance, but I left my ex on it.
Hey,
yo.
Does that sounds like you have a really, really bad plan in mind.
Ooh. I, 32 female, have an ex, 33 male, and we have 2 children, 10 female and 9 male. More context. My ex and I had a difficult start in life. I fell pregnant pretty quickly after we started dating. By the way, this comes from Bitterroom 3553 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So our daughter was born with leukemia. Oh my God.
No.
And we spent the first few years of our relationship in the hospital. She's now in remission, thankfully.
Yes.
We also had another child during this time. Also, our son is autistic. After being together for 6 years, we split up indefinitely when our children were 6 and 5, which was very hard for him and me. After healing for about 1.5 years, I began dating my now boyfriend. Let's call him Jake, not real name. Jake was really lovely and kind and took it slow with me. After a year, I introduced him to my kids. At first, my daughter was not happy with the situation, but she eventually grew to tolerate him. Jake even has a civil relationship with my ex. Jake moved in with my children and I, and has been living with us for about 2 months now. When my daughter was born with leukemia, my ex and I had decided to both get separate life insurance just in case anything happened to us. When we originally got them, we decided that we would be each other's trustee and also would receive 30% of the insurance and the rest would go on to our child/children. After we had our son, we updated our life insurances with his name also on it. We have both still honored that, and our reasoning for this is that if one of us was to go while our children were still young, then the other would be left as a single parent and may need some support and stability. I felt very strongly about this. Side note, I am from Bradenton, Florida, and absolutely loved my band teacher.
Where's that? Oh.
That's my hometown.
Damn!
Explicitly my hometown.
Whoa!
Like directly on the dot. He meant the world to me and reached out to me in this tough time. He actually mentioned John Fry and to submit this here.
What? Okay. What's going on?
My band teacher.
Who is this? So who is your band teacher, John?
I have a few names popping around in my head. This is wow. This is cool.
This is intense.
This is I love this. Obi says, but really, I can't stand the guy. He is so stuck up and just a selfish narcissist. I hope he figures out that Kanye isn't the only artist.
Dang, no, they flipped the script on you, dude.
Oh,
I
man,
can't believe
dude.
it.
Bro, this is a real fan right here. This is a real freaking fan right here. Anyways, Jake was cleaning up files in my office when I was at work, and I come across my life insurance agreement. While I was at work, he sent me a message saying, "We need to discuss something important when you get home." Obviously, I was freaking out and tried calling him, but he would not answer me and said he was too angry to talk. I run my own business, so I took off early and drove home. Before I left, I messaged Jake to say I'm on my way home. When I arrived, I had seen Jake on the sofa glaring at me when I arrived. He threw the life insurance papers at me and demanded I explain myself.
Dang,
dude.
Can't we just have civil discussions? Whatever happened to civil discussion?
No.
Did we lose
we
that?
We have to throw papers and we have to say you've done the most massive wrong that can ever be done. And then make something that's a Reddit story. That's what we have to do. I picked him up and asked what the problem was. He began to scream at me and say, "Why is your ex on your insurance and I am not?" I explained to him my reasons above and he scoffed and said, "Well, you both make so much money now, you don't need to support one another." I was, dude, bro is just not getting it.
Dang, what does that even mean? Like, how are you going to get insecure about life insurance? That's such a wild thing to be insecure about.
I was extremely angry at this and told him that it's not his business who I put on my life insurance. The money is mainly for my children and ex, and it will stay that way. Jake replied, "Well, I put so much work into this relationship, and I'm not going to get anything from it. No normal man would want a woman with 2 children who has issues."
Hey, well, there's the door, buddy.
I saw red. I got him out of there and told him we were done. My children will always come first, and I have never let anyone get in the way of that. Jake packed his bags and left. While he was packing, he shouted at me that I never really got over my ex and we still love each other, blah, blah, blah. He knew it from the start, and I'm such an a-hole for not putting him on the life insurance. So, internet, I have to ask, am I the a-hole? Quick edit, I should have added this also. This did happen a few weeks ago. I haven't seen him since then, but constantly receiving messages from him and calls. So we have a mini update after this, but we have to talk.
I mean, this guy's trash. Definitely shouldn't be with him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as soon as the kids are besmirched, it's like, oh, you're done. Sorry, you're done. That's what he said, right? He's like, nobody wants a woman with with 2 kids that have issues. It's like, oh, guess what? I don't want anything to do with you.
Why'd you choose me then?
You are my issue. Get out.
Yeah. Like, oh, if I got so many issues, then why are you here? Why you live here? Why?
Truly.
Why?
Truly, why? What do you? Oh, you when you be on your life insurance? Okay. Goodbye. You've talked your way out of this entire relationship. Go find a new future. I have none with you.
Anywho, we have a mini update, but big in consequences. So before I start with a little update, I want to say thank you. All of the comments, I'm going through them all, try to reply, even though it's a lot. I just want to address a few things. This did happen a few weeks ago, and I did post in another group, but unfortunately, no advice on that subreddit. I had left it for a few weeks before my ex suggested this one because, in his words, maybe these internet strangers would make you see sense and stop you from thinking you're an a-hole. Also, could help you see you shouldn't get back together with Jake.
Ooh, wait, so is the ex low-key making a play, or is the ex just like, I mean, you can care about someone you used to date and not want to date them again?
Now, firstly, I should have probably added this in the post. My ex and I are definitely not getting back together. We are very good friends, as I am with his husband.
Oh. Well,
This
whoa.
this
Whoa.
makes boyfriend Jake's insane reaction, ridiculous reaction, a quadrillion times more insane. So my ex always thought that he was gay, but he is not from the UK and his parents would disapprove, which they have done so and cut ties with them. That is unfortunate. I was upset to start with, but love them both dearly. I was even best woman at their wedding. That is cute. So yes, I am definitely over my ex. My ex and his husband and I are currently having a lovely glass of vino and discussing the issues around Jake. For the people saying that it's not right that I have my ex on my life insurance, let me just explain my point of view. Our son is autistic, so has a lot of issues around his autism. Our daughter, due to chemotherapy, is deaf in one ear and is currently in a wheelchair and has multiple appointments. I am very wealthy. My ex-partner is not. We opted to do private care to get the best we could for our children. We just took a situation that already made sense and made it yes, this is the most sense ever made on planet Earth.
Indeed.
I am leaving him some money for our children and to help him and his husband financially if anything was to happen to me. I 100,000% trust my ex with our kids' money. My children will inherit all of my properties and money. I do have a will, so everything in that sense is sorted. They have trust funds and never need to worry about their future. My life insurance is all my ex gets money from, and a few thousand from my own personal money, as does his husband. Mwah, love it. Now on to Jake, our good old friend Jake.
Yes.
Currently, my ex, his husband, and I are packing up Jake's things, and they are going to take it to his parents' house. I informed his parents that Jake and I are no longer together, broken up, and that we will drop off his stuff at their house. They're sad and wished me well, as I did them. See, they're not crazy people. Jake continually called me and texted me, which I have ignored these past few weeks, and I have just continued to ignore him. He has been pleading with me about taking him back and how much he loves me and how much he loves the kids. However, just an hour ago, he sent me the most vile messages I've ever had in my life, calling my daughter a spoiled, dramatic Lil B, again, the one in the wheelchair, who uses her illness to get her way. He called my son some disgusting things, which I won't even repeat. At this point, I was done, as you should be. I messaged him one final message saying that if he continued to try reaching out to me, I will be filing a protection order against him and blocking him on all platforms.
I mean, you should probably already block him on all platforms and probably already just, you know what, just keep this guy away from your kids and you. I think he's done enough to warrant it.
Absolutely. Do it. Do it now. I could not agree more. I also screenshotted the last message he sent and forwarded it to his ex and his family. I am very aware that it is petty, but I do not care. No one gets away with saying that about my children. I really think I will take a break from dating a while and concentrate on me and my little family, which includes the father of my kids and his husband. I was so upset that there were red flags there that I just chose to ignore or were really obvious. By the way, what's really obvious, I hope, I pray, I just scream to the heavens, is that if you want to listen to full episodes with stories just like these, go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts. What's our name? Okay, Storytime. You type it in, and then you find our stories, our episodes, and just listen to our catalog. We got actually some fun stuff I'm actually cooking up on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. So,
oh, yeah.
But anyways, before we get into it, I want to ask you, Dakota, a question and a poll to our chat.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to ask is, send or nah? Do we send the texts that Jake said to us to the family and to the ex?
Expose him! Expose him! Everyone should know how much this guy sucks, right? That he said some nasty, terrible stuff that you shouldn't be able to, people shouldn't be able to walk around thinking, oh, there goes Jake. He's such a good guy. I saw him help his neighbor take his trash out to the curb. Oh, he said what about the girl in the wheelchair? Oh, never mind. No, he sucks, and he will be pariahed. He deserves it. He deserves nothing.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know.
if I think about it, if it were my kids, yeah, that's when it's like...
You got to send it, because if you don't, he's going to make up something, and they're going to believe that before you can actually get the truth out.
That's another fantastic point. You have to, with these things, you never know, so you have to control, especially the way that, bro, Jake is crashing out. You look crash up in the dictionary, it is what Jake is doing right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
You'll see Jake.
Yes. Little edit. I know I said I wouldn't post what he said, but screw it. He's a horrible human, and I'm a few glasses of vino in. Lol. What is going on over there? He called my daughter a cripple butt and called my son a R-word freak. So he can go F himself. I'm probably just going to leave this post now. Time to heal and focus on my beautiful kids. Thank you all so much for the comments and advice. I hope you're all blessed, and I appreciate everyone's opinions, advice, and support. I will definitely be taking a lot of points into my heart. Thank you.
I think that's a good place to be.
I love it.
My ex-husband's wife tried to force her religious beliefs onto my children, so I took legal action.
I religiously believe in the law.
My ex and I have been divorced for 7 years. We have 3 children, Amy, 17, Tom, 16, and Ben, 14. Our divorce was amicable, and we co-parent well for the most part. By the way, this comes from Acrobatic Donut 4745 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, I am a non-observant Jew, and my ex is a non-practicing Catholic. We decided to teach our children to be decent people and allow them to decide what faith, if any, they wanted when they were old enough. My ex remarried 2 years ago, and they have a 6-month-old daughter. She is a devout Christian, non-denominational. Since she came into their lives, she has actively tried to convert them. I wouldn't have an issue if she was just inviting them to church, but she is constantly telling them that if they do not accept Christ as their savior, they will go to hell, as will me and my family. After this, my children refused to see their dad unless it was outside of his home without her. Their dad finally put his foot down and put an end to it. Now on to the problem. My parents went to Poland a few months ago to visit family and took my children with them. While there, my dad took them to Auschwitz, and Ben was very moved. When he came home, he started attending temple with my father and has been working with his rabbi to prepare for his bar mitzvah. He is having a small party afterwards at my parents' house. When his stepmother heard this, she really ramped up the crazy. She waited until my ex was not home and invited a bunch of people from her church over, and they ambushed Ben.
Oh, no.
They tried to lay hands on him to save him from the fires. My daughter physically intervened, called an Uber, and took her brothers home. My ex stopped by a couple of hours later and apologized profusely for what had happened. My son accepted his apology, but stated that his stepmother was no longer welcome at his bar mitzvah or the party afterwards. Very fair. My ex got very upset by this and stated that this was being disrespectful and he could not go somewhere where his wife was not welcome. My son said, "Well, I guess you're not invited either then." He then locked himself in his room. My ex, his parents, and his wife have all been texting and calling, berating me. When my parents found out what had happened, they stated that his wife was not welcome in their home, but they told my son that he should still allow his father to come. My ex is adamant that he will not come without his wife, and my son is adamant that his wife is not invited. I refuse to intervene on his wife's behalf, and my ex says I'm an a-hole. Am I? Just a few things for clarification. I'm trying to respond to all comments. I plan to show. No, she wasn't like this when he married her. She went to church, but it wasn't until they got married that she became more involved. I was actually surprised that she was with him, knowing that he was not religious, but figuring opposites attract. In the beginning, she was great with our kids. They liked her and spent a lot of time with them. Her pushing my kids towards Christianity was little things like insisting they bow their heads for grace at meal times, buying them books by religious authors, not allowing what she deemed inappropriate movies, Harry Potter, anything with profanity, hanging up religious pictures and signs with Bible verses in the house, etc. Once she started with that, "you're going to heck if you don't believe" nonsense, I got their dad involved, and it ended, at least for a while. Their dad is very supportive of our sons embracing Judaism. He is paying for private Hebrew lessons and has offered to send him to Israel the summer after high school, providing it is safe to go. My ex and I met our freshman year of college. We were together a few years before getting married and only got married because our first was on the way, and both of our sets of parents were very insistent that we do so. My parents especially were big on the legal aspect of it for my protection. We separated after almost 20 years of being together because we had started to become unhappy together and despite counseling could not resolve some of our differences. There was no infidelity or anything like that. We only got divorced when he met his current wife so that they could marry. We had no formal custody agreement in place. My parents have me seeing a lawyer next week to put some parameters into place and protect everyone involved. He promised that the kids don't have to be around his wife until they are ready to be. I asked them, why is it a big deal that he doesn't want her at the ceremony and party? His response is that he wants the invitation extended, but he will make sure that she won't go. He says it's disrespectful and a snub not to invite her. I told him that sounded like a bunch of BS and that she was not going to be there no matter what. And there is an update. But do you have any thoughts so far?
I mean, why is it so difficult? Why?
Just respect.
Can't we just let
be
people,
respectful?
Let people be who they are.
Truly.
Believe in what they believe in.
I don't understand this.
My
like,
man in the sky is better than you, a man in the sky.
and also just like the father who is not religious, just completely, and also had that conversation with OP about how they would raise their children, just fully not understanding that his current wife is trying to force these beliefs on his son. Like, how are you so disconnected? Sunday, my ex asked if I would be willing to come over and discuss what happened. He said he felt there were some misunderstandings. I went along with my daughter and oldest son. They asked to go. Anyway, when I got there, there was another couple there who I was introduced to as her pastor and his wife. I was immediately on guard. Stepmother stated that all she and her church group had wanted to do was pray for my children. She stated that she felt that raising them with no religion had done them a great disservice and that I didn't understand all of the consequences of doing this. She stated that since she had her daughter, she realized how horrible it would be to be separated in heaven from the people she loved more than anything in the world. I said I did not believe that would happen, as I believed if there was any type of afterlife, one of the perks would be that you would be reunited with people that you loved. She then stated that it would have to be this way as my children had not accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Then she started to cry. I gently suggested to her that she was still postpartum and that it was possible that her hormones and emotions were heightened and that she was not seeing things clearly. That was obviously the wrong thing to say because then she and my ex both became angry with me and told me that I was trying to make her out to be a crazy person. Opie didn't have to try that hard.
It was pretty easy.
Her pastor quoted a few Bible verses and attempted to expand on what she had said. The whole time, my ex just sat there silently. I finally asked him what he thought about all of this, and he said that his wife meant well and that she was only concerned with our kids' souls. I asked him when he had become so religious, as during our 20 years together, he had not so much stepped inside of a church outside of a few weddings we'd attended. He stated that their having their daughter had made him realize how important choosing a faith was. I told him that our son had chosen. It just happened to be Judaism instead of Christianity. I also said it was my understanding that it was the same God for both. The pastor then again chimed in, stating that Jesus was the true Messiah and that Jews would be punished both in this life and in the afterlife for denying that. At that point, my daughter stood up and stated that this whole discussion was making her sick. My older son said that he was tired of dealing with all of his stepmother's BS and he would never step foot in their house again. He said over the years he had ignored a lot, as both myself and his dad had encouraged him to be tolerant of people's beliefs. But as nobody was being tolerant of his or his siblings' beliefs, he was done dealing with their hypocrisy. He told his dad that he had no desire to either talk or see him or his wife for the foreseeable future. We then left. I imagine it would be, just this whole situation is incredibly frustrating, but to hear the father say to his kids that my daughter being born is the reason that made me have, that's why I'm having this realization. It's like, okay, you've already had 2 kids, you know?
It's like, yeah, you didn't have any revelations when we were born?
Yeah, it's like, what? Today, I met with the family lawyer that my parents had found for me. He said that tomorrow we are going to the courthouse for a temporary restraining order and to ask for an emergency custody order. He says we'll get both. He also had me go to the police department today and make a report with all 3 of my children about what happened last week. I am so sick that it has come to this. I never wanted my children to have to be put in the middle of battling families. I am aware, as so many of you pointed out, that I underreacted. To be honest, this is the first time in my life I have really ever dealt with anything like this. I grew up in an incredibly diverse community where everyone was tolerant of everyone else, and when my ex and I were married, we returned and lived in the community, as we felt it was a fantastic place to raise children. So that's that. I want to thank everyone for all their support, and for those who pointed out I was being naive for being kind about it. We're only halfway through the story, so I imagine there's a lot coming.
A lot more developments going on here.
Relevant comments. OP's son might have been subjected to religious abuse or harassment. OP should make sure her son's boundaries are respected. OP says, thank you. I feel partially at fault because in the past I told them to just ignore it when she made comments or to decline politely when she invited them to church. I should have been a lot more forceful, but tried to be respectful of her faith. I never expected her to go this far. I mean, no one does. I don't think that's your fault.
Yeah, it's a perfectly rational thing to believe that it would not go that far.
Commenter 1 says, not the a-hole, and it's sad your ex is backing his nut job of a wife. Hope he understands this is going to ruin his chances of actually having decent relationships with his kids. OP says he's always been a live and let live kind of guy. I think he's also afraid she will take their child and leave if he doesn't support her in this. None of my children are talking to him in this moment. I feel bad for him, but this is something that he has to fix himself. Commenter 2, you need to get your lawyer involved to legally put a stop to his psychotic stepmom. OP says right now none of our children are talking to him and they refuse to go back to his house. I told them that they are of the age that they can make their decisions and I will not force them to do anything they don't want. They have all blocked her and her family. I really don't want to go to court as I don't have the money, especially with the oldest going to college in the fall, but I support them 100% on staying away from her. Commenter 3 says, what is wrong with your ex-husband? I too am a devout Christian and have nothing but love for my Jewish brothers and sisters. It is up to a man to clarify with his current wife what is acceptable with her interactions with your and his children. He needs to stand up like a man. Opie says, I agree completely, and I really don't understand it because when we were together, his parents were pressuring us to have all of our kids baptized, and he stood up to them. Opie explains a bit more about her daughter who physically intervened the meeting with stepmom and her church friends. Opie says, no, my daughter intervened before they touched him. She said she had a feeling something was going to happen because they came into the family room where all 3 were watching TV and got into a circle holding hands and were praying loudly about all 3 of them. She said they were all frozen, staring at these people in a kind of WTF way. But then when they let go of each other and started heading towards them, she grabbed her brother and pulled him out the front door. Good daughter. My ex has sworn that he will ensure that the kids are never left alone with her again. As of right now, none of them agreed to go anywhere near him either, or anywhere with him either, but my parents are now insisting that I go speak with an attorney to get a formal custody agreement drawn up after this incident. I see now that I should have done this years ago, but our divorce was so amicable, and until she came into the picture, everything was fine with our co-parenting. We even took vacations together with the kids. The only thing I can think of is that now he's so afraid of her leaving him and taking their daughter that he's throwing our kid under the bus to appease her, which is not okay. And there is a second update. I think on his one point is he said, oh, I'll make sure she's never alone with the kids. He's not going to do that because he supports her. He's gone around. He's already said, oh, yeah, no, I believe it. Now that I've had my daughter, I believe it. It's like he's on her side. Update 2. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my kids to see their grandparents for Christmas break? Hello, everyone. I posted on here a couple of months ago after my ex's wife staged a religious intervention when my son decided he wanted to embrace Judaism and be bar mitzvahed. Post is still under my profile if anyone wants specifics. My ex and I share 3 children, Amy, 18, Tom, 16, and Ben, 15. The people responding to the first post helped me to see that I was underreacting, and I met with a lawyer for a custody order as we had just done our own thing. I now have a full decision-making for our own children's religious upbringing and full custody. She has full custody now.
Custody granted.
Ex has visitation every other weekend, and I have been incredibly flexible and let him take them pretty much whenever he or the kids want. On his weekend, I stay with my parents, and he stays in the house. Only rule I made was the stepmother is not around them at all, ever. My kids are very close with their paternal grandparents. GPs know that stepmother is not to be around them, but twice when I picked them up, she was there. Excuse was that she had just popped in quickly to drop off the baby. I asked them to let me know when they were sitting and we would plan a different day, but they said it was a last-minute thing. They want them to come for a 5-day visit over Christmas break, not 24-25, and I cannot trust that this woman will not come over. Ben still gets incredibly anxious with her. Yes, he is in therapy. My in-laws refuse to tell her that she cannot come over because they say they do not want to be put in the middle and that it's making them choose between their grandchildren. I reached out to my ex, who said that since she isn't coming over for long, he's not stopping it.
So it's just like, well, because it only violates your boundaries a little bit, we're not going to do anything about it.
He also said that there is nothing in that order that she can't be around. And as his wife and mom of their siblings, there's no reason that she should have to tiptoe around. He was incredibly dismissive, and I went nuclear on him. I told him that I had been letting him see them whenever, despite only having 2 weekends a month, that he was married to a sociopathic zealot, and that if she continued to come around, I would go back to court and ask for supervised visits and a restraining order against her. He hung up. Then I asked the kids what they wanted. Come to find out that the woman has been coming around a lot. Amy said their grandparents asked them not to say anything to not upset me. I told my daughter that as an adult she can go, but that her brothers would not be. Ben's look of relief broke my heart. Amy said she felt weird when stepmother showed up. Tom said he's with Ben. And you can be with us by listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search for Poke Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. But do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm so lost in this whole story. I'm not even gonna lie. I have nothing to add here other than don't push your religion on other people.
Yeah.
And don't turn your kids into props for your own agendas.
Called ex-mother-in-law, told her that the children would not be coming back until they chose to. I said they were welcome to come over and see them. I said they were so wrong to ask the kids to keep secrets. They called my ex, who berated me for punishing his parents. Stepmom sent me a text saying I was unfair. I think I'm right, but everyone else thinks I'm the a-hole. Am I? And there are some comments, but no. And it seems like everyone else is your ex's grandparents, your ex, and the stepmom. So
yeah, it feels like
listen to them.
It feels like a no.
Commenter 1 says, not the a-hole. Your children are old enough to set their own boundaries. If they don't want to go to their grandparents and or interact with their stepmom, they shouldn't be forced to. This is a critical teaching moment about boundaries and respect. Protect your children as best you can, including legally. If ex and stepmom insist on stomping all over the boundary set, grandparents are also boundary stompers and can't be trusted. Opie says, thank you. I appreciate your input. I get that my former in-laws love my kids as well as their new grandchild and don't want to be caught in the middle. But for the life of me, after what happened, I don't understand how they can accept that. I don't want my children around her. It's the only thing I've asked. And they're acting like I'm banning them completely, which I'm not. They can come visit them at our home at any time. We live less than 15 minutes from them. Commenter 2 says, not the a-hole. They have proven that they can't be trusted to protect your minor children. And as their custodial parent, you're doing what you have to do to keep them safe, period. This isn't a punishment, it's consequences. And people who are asking to spend time with children should absolutely know the difference. Quite frankly, anyone who asks a child to keep a secret from their parents, especially a secret that involves explicitly going against the boundaries set forth by the parent, is someone who shouldn't be spending time alone with that child. Opie says their defense was that they did not ask them to keep it a secret or lie, only not to mention it. Don't get freaking technical with me.
Yeah, it's not really a lie. It's more like a passive non-truth.
And they're like, we didn't tell them to lie. We just said, lie by omission.
Yeah. We just said, don't tell them the truth. We didn't tell them to make up a lie. We just said, don't tell you the truth.
OP continues, sigh. I told him that they can see them at any time. We live less than 15 minutes away from them, so it's not like I'm cutting all access to them. I really don't think they understand how much her attempting to save them affected them. Commenter 3 says, info, are you 100% sure that the kids love their paternal grandparents and want to see them? OP says, yes, but not at their house anymore. Although they still want a relationship with them, they have noticeably pulled away since this whole incident, as they do not feel supported by them. Ben had started making excuses and not going after the first time stepmother showed up, and his grandparents made excuses for her and downplayed his discomfort. But now my in-laws are digging in their heels and saying my compromise of them coming over to see the kids whenever they would like is unreasonable. She even made the mistake of calling my mother to try and intervene, and my mother, who is one of the kindest, most forgiving people you will ever meet, told her that if it was up to her and my dad, who has had beef with them since they last minute didn't show up to Ben's bar mitzvah with no explanation, they wouldn't be seeing the children at all until they were able to admit that they were wrong and apologize to all three children. My older son's birthday is coming up, and my daughter called them yesterday to invite them to the family dinner we are having for him. They said they are too uncomfortable to do so since my ex won't come without his wife, but would be happy to have a second party at their house, which she and my son both refused. They just continue to keep hammering nails into the coffin. Yeah, none of that. They're going to learn their lesson when none of these kids want to be around them.
Yeah, and they'll go, oh no, the mistakes that I've made.
Why don't they come visit their grandparents? But that is the end of that story.
Once they're old enough to make a decision for themselves.
My boyfriend's ex can't move on from him, and I'm the one compromising for it. Oof.
Ooh, you got that one backwards. Yikes.
I, 20, non-binary, and my boyfriend, 21 male, Alex for this post, have been together for 10 months. He let me know very early on that he was still friends with his long-term ex, Lou, female 20, also fake name. By the way, this comes from the Death Flower on the OK Storytime subreddit. So, context. They'd broken up about 5 to 6 months before Alex and I met. I was okay with their friendship. After all, I trusted and still do that he was telling me the truth about how he felt about her and about how/when their relationship ended. However, we've been running into a situation for the last few months, and I'm getting quite fed up with it. I'm sorry about the amount of context needed, but it's necessary to understand why I feel the way I feel. I'm obviously going to omit some details for the sake of anonymity, but the timeline is essentially the same. A couple of months into the relationship, he asked if I would be okay with meeting his ex if she was here one night where him and I would hang out with his friends. I agreed because in my mind, she's his ex, but is also his friend, and I want to get to know his friends. So with that in mind, I asked a little bit about her from time to time, what she liked, her hobbies, etc. Fast forward to November, and my boyfriend invites me to join him and his friends for a movie. I'm hyped because I wanted to see this movie, plus it's an occasion to meet up with his friends and meet Lou. I also thought it would be a nice setting because you don't have to do too much socialization, so it can avoid that kind of awkward face. A couple of days before the event, I asked my boyfriend about the logistics, and he lets me know that he learned that Lou wasn't comfortable with me being there. I didn't hold it against him because he didn't know when he asked me, and she hadn't mentioned it before. Alex asked if I was still cool with him going, which of course I said yes. From what I know, Lou wasn't comfortable with meeting me yet because she was still processing the breakup since it hadn't even been a year. She was also struggling with getting back onto the dating scene. All of this I could understand, and I didn't want to pressure her into meeting me before she was ready. At the end of the day, I want her and I to be at least amicable. Since Lou wasn't comfortable with meeting me, we agreed that if there was a social event with his friend group where Lou was one of the organizers, we wouldn't even bring up the idea of me attending. We also asked his friends to not ask, but if someone else organized something and they were cool with me attending, I would go, and Lou was free to come or not.
That is all way too much.
I don't understand why she's not comfortable.
Exactly. It's like the reason she's not comfortable is because she doesn't want to get comfortable.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
It's way too much. It's like what happens now? It's like, okay, so you're chopped liver now. So you're just not allowed to be around because of how Lou might feel. Because again, y'all have never met each other. Lou has so why is the entire friend group bending over backwards to cater to Lou and not showing you a scrap of the same consideration.
This compromise took a bit of time to come up with and was the product of a lot of conversations between Alex and I, Alex and his friends, and Lou in the group. Why? She's never met you. Why is she like, you haven't done anything to her?
She's clearly still into her partner. She's not over it.
I can't lie, I wasn't entirely happy with the situation, but there was only so much I could ask for in that moment. I thought that giving this whole thing a bit of time would be much better in the long run, and it seemed that everyone agreed. That's ridiculous. The new year came around, and things seemed to go well. Lou felt a bit more comfortable with the idea of meeting me. I met Lou in February. We met up at Alex's house along with more of his friends. It was overall a good time, and she seemed really nice, although the two of us didn't speak much, which was to be expected. After this, I genuinely thought that things would be better and that I wouldn't have to overthink meeting his friends from now on. Well, it seemed like I was wrong. The story. A few days ago, Alex was going to meet up with his friends to watch a football game and offered that I join them. The plan was to meet up at Lou's workplace for a couple of drinks, then head to a different place to see the game. But when he asked Lou, who was organizing it, if she was fine with me being there, she said she wasn't.
What?
I would not put up with this. I would not put up with a person who's just like who's constantly disrespecting my partner. Saying like, I can't bring my partner somewhere.
This person needs to learn the lesson that the world doesn't revolve around you. And you do not get to control every aspect of existence to make you as comfortable as possible.
That in itself isn't a massive issue because she doesn't know me super well yet. What was an issue for me is that Alex explained that she called him a few days before to talk about how she was still struggling with moving on from their relationship. Clearly, she's clearly still struggling because she can't be around you. And it's been 6 months. Maybe they just aren't ready to be friends. You don't have to be friends. That's okay. He told me that they talked for a little bit about the whole thing, and in his view, the call and her not really wanting me there at this hangout are probably linked. In the moment, I didn't say anything, but boy, was I annoyed. I'm not mad at Lou for having trouble moving on. After all, we all get over relationships in a different way and at a different pace. Not to mention that I don't know where she's at in her process, how she feels exactly about Alex, or how she feels about me. All I know is that it's nearly been a whole dang year, and I'm getting totally done with this situation. I want to have a discussion about this with Alex because I already feel it getting to me, and it's not feeling good. I plan on doing it once we finish our exams and deadlines to give us both the space to have this conversation peacefully and being able to focus on it. It'll also give me time to forge a plan for how to discuss it and how to lay out my boundaries since I've been a little bit too doormatty with how I reacted to the whole thing. Yeah, yes. I mean, like, you've been allowing a lot of things that are just unacceptable.
You should have been like, well, I'm equally as uncomfortable not meeting Lou. How about that? Now where are we at?
I've accepted to put a lot of my feelings to the side and didn't always speak my mind because I wanted to keep the peace and not start drama with his friend group. But I'm very unsure of how to approach it with Alex and could really use some feedback on what my boundaries are if they're reasonable and such. This entire situation is making me feel like crap. I feel like I'm still not allowed to be a proper part of his life since I still have to ask myself whether Lou will be there when Alex invites me to see his friends. I won't lie, I feel insecure with how the situation is going. I'm finding myself doubting myself and how worthy my relationship with Alex is. Not just in my eyes, but also in his eyes. I feel like he is much more concerned protecting Lou's feelings than taking how this is making me feel. After all, the entire timeline of when Lou and I get to meet, how we would arrange and accommodate when meeting with his friends, etc., has been based on Lou's feelings almost entirely. And I would like that to change because I don't want to have to sit back for I don't know how long.
How old? Do we have ages for this? Because these got to be young people for them to be putting up with this. This has got to be like 19, 20. Because I can't imagine getting into like even like the early mid-20s and putting up with any of this. This is not like okay, well, once your ex-girlfriend, I guess, acclimates to my existence, I guess maybe we'll eventually be able to go to the same part. No! You go with your partner, and she either, I think it's exposure therapy at this point.
Now I'm just in a space where I want to receive respect from her because as it stands, I don't feel respected at all. So here are some concerns, boundaries, areas of discussion I would like to bring up with my boyfriend. My boyfriend will ask if I'm welcome at hangouts before asking me about it. It's pretty heartbreaking to look forward to something only to be told that you're not welcome. It is Lou's job to enforce her own boundaries. When she is the one organizing a hangout, we will still ask before inviting me, and her decision will be respected. But when someone else is organizing something and they're cool with me going, we shouldn't have to ask for her permission. She will, of course, be informed if I'm here, but it's up to her to decide if she wants to attend. Yeah. If Alex has one-on-one calls with Lou, he lets me know that it happened.
It's crazy. This is crazy.
I don't want to find out a few days later, almost on accident, that it happened. I don't need to know what is being said, but knowing when he's having these calls seems like a fair boundary, especially with this whole difficult moving on situation. Yeah, she's not over him.
Yeah.
She's not over him.
If you know someone is actively
not
over
you,
you shouldn't just like entertain them while you're dating someone else.
I'm not sure if these are reasonable boundaries to have around this situation, and I have no idea what would be reasonable consequences if those boundaries are crossed. What do people think? Edit. I've read all the comments, and even if I couldn't reply all the time, I've had some great insight from some people. But man, some of y'all are projecting a lot on this.
I'm sorry, I just
Did you
love
get caught
how
yawning?
I just love how it said I want to know what y'all think, and then it said edit, and in my head I just imagine y'all have a lot to think.
Say.
Like,
yeah. I want to make it clear that even if I had an inkling that my boyfriend was the manipulator, player, selfish person some of you are making him out to be, or that Lou was also a manipulator, a man-stealer, evil person, I would not be on Reddit asking how to solve this.
Wait, do you have a problem? Is it that you want to listen to more stories like this one?
Then go check out Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app in search of OK Storytime.
That's all it takes. Look at that. We did it. Yes.
Pal, you need to break up. Because this is unacceptable, regardless of whether he is like, he's still disrespecting you and your boundaries. So
there's no way he's not aware of it. He knows it. He's probably double dipping. He's like, not only do I have a cool girlfriend, I got the ex-girlfriend who would like topple a small country in order to take me back. And that feels good for my ego. So I would like to talk to her.
But many of you are rightfully pointing out that I have been too accommodating in this at the expense of my own comfort and security in the relationship. I really want to thank those who told me about being in similar positions and those who have been in my boyfriend's shoes and understand how complicated these situations can get. I'm going to speak with Alex soon, and I'll probably show him the post and let him read through some of the comments. Knowing Alex, I'm almost 100% sure that I'll listen to what I have to say and that we'll find a solution. I hope so.
I don't know. I think the solution is you can find a guy who doesn't.
You don't have to jump through all these hoops.
Underneath his ex.
Yeah. You can be friends with your ex, but don't prioritize them and their feelings over your partner. My girlfriend called me by a nickname that she used for her ex-boyfriend.
Cucumber supplier?
So long story short, I've been with my girlfriend for a while now, and she has this cute nickname for me, which is kind of cringe, but I see it makes her really happy when I let her call me it, so I've always been okay with it. The problem is that I've asked her out of curiosity how she even came up with this nickname, and she told me that she originally made it for her ex after he won her a prize at a fun fair.
Ooh, that sounds like an inside joke for you and your ex.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's different than like babe, because this is an inside joke that doesn't really apply to this person.
Like if I called anybody else soap, it would be weird.
It would be weird. They'd be like, why are you calling me soap? And you're like, you don't get it.
So my roommate's name's Sophia. And
by the way, this comes from Stop Banning Me 1600 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So this has really pissed me off because she's using a name she made for her ex after they specifically shared a moment together for me. The part that annoys me the most is that every time she uses that name, her ex will 100% come up in her mind as the nickname is specific to a certain event shared between the two of them. I've spoken to her and raised my concerns about this, and in fairness, she is understanding. She got annoyed with me at first, but has since stopped using the nickname. The part that makes me feel slightly guilty is that since she stopped using the nickname, she clearly hasn't had the same smile she once had. But that's because she was thinking about her ex.
She probably realized
Yeah.
It'll be so funny. This guy looks just like her ex, and she can't call him his ex's nickname.
Dang. Yeah, it's like basically she's calling you her ex's name. To be honest, I think she wants to use that nickname so much so that in her head she can try to replace me with her ex. But I am an overthinker, so maybe I'm completely wrong here. Am I the a-hole? And there are some relevant comments, but I don't think you're the a-hole.
Nah, and doesn't sound like you're overthinking here.
I don't think that either. I think that this is kind of weird. Pino says, I know you spoke about it, otherwise you wouldn't know where the name came from. I meant to talk about her losing the smile, like you said. I can see her being sad about not being able to call you a certain name anymore, but seeing the history, she should realize why. Not like you don't have a valid reason for disliking being called that name. I'd ask her why she insisted on calling you knowing the history of where the name came from. I'm usually one to overthink everything and always assume the worst, but I don't know, I think there's more to it here somehow. I hope you guys can work it out. OP says, overthinking is genuinely the worst, and I do feel guilty about this. In my mind, I thought that maybe she was cheating or something, but if I'm being fully rational, I think that's a slim chance. I've been cheated on in the past, so I'm not arrogant in thinking that could never happen to me, but she doesn't show any signs, and she's always spamming me throughout the day of whatever she's doing, and she's over at mine a lot, so I do doubt there's something fishy going on. And there is an update. Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like she's cheating or something, but I think it's
fantasizing.
Yeah, I think that's my thought process here.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Because to me, if I had an ex that, you know, I had a name for and then I got with a new person, I would want to come up with a new name that was specific to them. I think there's fun in finding a nickname. I'm actually not really a nickname person.
I call her Angie Girl.
I honestly don't call people their names a lot, especially when I start.
You say my name all the time.
That's true.
Riley?
There are some people that I say their names all the time, but when I first start meeting people, I'm really hesitant to say their name.
You don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah,
dude, I did not say Angie's name on the first date because I did not know how to say it.
It's like, well, I know how to say their name, but I'm just like, I don't know why. I get in my head about it. It's really weird.
I'm like,
But they're always like, people are always like Sophia or like Sophia Donner. So many people say that to me. They're always like Sophia Donner. I've had so many people say that to me.
Oh, wow.
Now let's get into the update. So first of all, I'd like to just say thanks to everyone who gave me their advice. It was genuinely helpful and I'm so thankful. Now on to the update.
Oh boy.
So my girlfriend came over tonight as expected and she actually bought me Call of Duty MW3, which I wasn't expecting at all, but massive W.
Okay.
Anyways.
Do we forget about the issue right now?
Yeah, she's trying to buy your silence.
Sometimes whenever I don't do this
you can be bought.
with previous relationships.
Yeah.
If I messed up, I would get them flowers and like, we don't really talk about it anymore after that.
Well, I think that if it's an apology gift, it should also be accompanied with a conversation about the problem.
Or just like, I'm sorry.
I'm
and
sorry.
then you guys are good.
Yeah, and then everything's chill. Well, I ordered some food and we sat down and just did what normal couples do for like the first hour because, to be honest, me being the idiot I am, forgot I had something serious to speak to her about. He's like,
shiny gift.
She's like, Call of Duty, woo! There was a point where I could tell she wanted to use that nickname for me during our conversation, and then I saw her stop herself and she looked kind of upset. And it was at that moment I realized I was meant to bring up this issue.
Okay, and basically the guy probably like passed in a car accident.
Yeah, she's like, his memory needs to live on.
Cucumber monster must live on.
To save you guys from all the boring details, I basically started off by telling her I needed to speak to her about something, and she just sat and listened to me. I started off by telling her I do love her very much, as per the advice given to me here, and that I want her to tell me exactly how she feels about this nickname situation, because I can clearly see it's been bothering her, and the last thing I want is for her to feel down. She basically told me that I shouldn't be surprised that she was bothered by the situation because I know that pet names are her love language, and because I told her that she shouldn't use nicknames with me anymore, I was basically stopping her from showing me affection in the way she loves.
Any nicknames anymore? I did not catch that.
That is not what he said. He said don't use the nickname that you use for your ex.
Oh, I see.
Well, no, I'm agreeing. Like, I think that she's kind of maybe overblowing it.
Got it.
She said she didn't mind not using the nickname that I had an issue with, but she felt I didn't have to stop her from using any type of nickname with me. I was completely lost at this point because I never told her that she couldn't use nicknames. I just said don't use that specific one she made for her ex. And then we both realized this was one big misunderstanding.
Aww.
She was under the assumption that I had told her to stop the whole nickname thing entirely, which wasn't the case. Honestly, the way her face lit up when she realized that she could still use pet names with me made me so bloody happy.
Aww.
Okay, we're chill.
We're back.
We're chill.
We're so back right now.
After After we cleared up the matter, I decided to ask her why she kept using the nickname with me despite her making it for her ex. She told me that she never really saw it like that when she was using the nickname. She said that the nickname was just something she found really cute, and it captured a moment where her man made her feel incredibly happy. She also said that because she wasn't with her ex for that long, about 3 months they dated, she didn't feel that it really belonged to him because that nickname was only made about a month before they broke up. She also told me that she uses this nickname with me far more often than she did with her ex because I always make her laugh and smile, which is what this nickname embodies for her. She then reassured me that she absolutely, wholeheartedly loves me, and when I told her about me overthinking this as her trying to replace me with her ex, she let out a small giggle saying how incredibly silly I was for thinking that. Now that I look back at it, I was an idiot for thinking that. I don't think you were an idiot. I think it's kind of a fair assumption.
Yeah, we read Reddit stories.
She told me that not once did her ex pop up in her mind when using the nickname. She just genuinely felt it belonged to me and that I am the only person worthy to be called that in her eyes. Anyways, we both let out a massive sigh of relief, and I finished this conversation by telling her that after hearing all this, I wasn't just okay with it if she still wanted to use the nickname, but I would be honored. And she told me that she wants to give me a new nickname, one that's fresh just for me, because at the end of the day, I make her 100 times happier on my worst day than her ex could make her on his best day. That's really cute. And so the nickname she was using wasn't strong enough to show just how happy I made her. What a comeback!
Wow.
What a comeback.
I feel good.
I feel great. Moral of the story, speak to your partner ASAP if you ever have an issue because one simple conversation could solve it all. Also, one thing I've learned from this is that my girlfriend really takes this nickname thing seriously. Like, I always thought it was just a cute thing for her, but she really does put a lot of emotion behind the name.
Aww.
And it would make me emotional if you guys joined us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch.
My nickname's for Angie, Turtle, because she eats really slow as a turtle, and they call her that growing up. She's like, don't call me Turtle. I'm like, you can't tell a Southern boy not to call you by a critter name, you know?
You're just Turtle.
You're Turtle.
Turtle.
Angie Girl. And then like Babe and like all that stuff.
Babe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the up, Sophia.
Woo!
We're on the up. And then you're going to see this on Facebook like a few months from now.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, ooh. But there is a little bit more. P.S. What gift do I get her now? Because I wasn't expecting her to get me MW3. And now I have to get her something because there's no way I'm letting myself take her gift and not surprise her with something in return.
Get her a candle warmer with a candle, a nice candle, depending on
lighters.
The electric lighters. And then you also get her a makeup brush cleaner because that's really good if she's like really into makeup. Get her some like nice little facial cleansers or like nice little fun things. Like do a little spa day if you really want to throw it out of the park and experience. They love that stuff. Like mud, and then you get all of it. You get nerdy. Yeah, the candle warmer is the top one.
Mm-hmm. I like books.
Yeah, Sophia likes books.
I like books.
Specifically about dystopian books about the world ending and that a human needs to communicate with an alien life form in order to save both of their worlds.
Yeah.
That's her favorite kind of books.
I like those books. Or chalk. But that is the end of that story.
My ex's new wife is trying to steal my daughter. Now she's calling herself my daughter's mother.
Arrest her!
I, 27 female, and my ex, 26, we have a 6-year-old daughter together.
Whoa.
Things weren't working for us, so we broke up last year and decided to co-parent. We both have custody. By the way, this comes from you, optimal-host-4306 on the ROK Storytime subreddit. He got married a few months back. I don't have any hard feelings or anything for him or his wife. He is a great father, but his wife, she's going around saying not only she became a wife, but she got a bonus daughter too. Last week, my daughter was with her father and I saw his WhatsApp status, a video. She was asking my daughter to call her mom and saying how she just looks like her, how people think she is her birth mother. Without second thought, I called my daughter's father. I was mad. I had a fight with him and asked him to draw my daughter back to me. And I don't regret it, but everyone is saying I'm overreacting.
Like a little bit, but also I understand. I guess it's just, I'd be kind of annoyed, but I don't know, unless the daughter is really uncomfortable.
I feel like maybe that's a conversation that the stepmom should have had with the bio mom.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, is it okay? Like,
if I do this and stuff. Yeah, because it is like it is kind of an overstep.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, like, I'm sure after like a long period of time,
yes,
it makes sense.
It develops, but like a 6-year-old and you just got here, that's a little bit.
A lot. Okay, maybe I am, but I can't see my daughter calling someone else her mom. Edit 1. She and my daughter don't look alike. She was asking my daughter to call her mom when my child wasn't comfortable.
You see, that's
There you go.
That's the thing.
Like,
if the daughter's not comfortable, then you can't be asking.
Overstepping. Yeah. I don't hate her, and I don't wish my child to hate her too. I wish them to have a friendly relation where they can trust each other and be comfortable in each other's presence. That's valid.
Yeah.
Edit 2. Thank you everyone for your response. It means a lot, genuinely. I appreciate it. I had a talk with my daughter. Once I have a talk with my daughter's father, I will update you guys. Looks like we have some comments. So top comments from Neen Knits. Bonus daughter is fine. I agree. Asking her to call her mom isn't.
Yeah.
Help your daughter find a couple unique nicknames for a stepmother that no one else uses. That's a good solution.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like it still creates a relationship with the stepmom, but it's
Mama. Barely Awake 2023. She's insane if she thinks that's even remotely appropriate. I have a stepson and couldn't even imagine asking him to call me mom, especially when his mom is, you know, a wonderful and involved mom. My husband wouldn't stand for it either because we all have a good relationship. And even though they didn't work out, he still has respect for her as his son's mother.
Yeah.
As he should have, period.
No, I think the asking is huge overstep.
Absolutely. Update. I made a post recently about how my ex's new wife asked my daughter to call her mom. First of all, I'm just genuinely thankful to you guys. I thought I was just overreacting and was going to leave the matter without doing anything. I had a talk with my 6-year-old and I'm shaking right now. I don't know. My daughter thought I was going to abandon her. Can you believe? What? I was dumbstruck. I felt like I have lost everything in my life. My lovely daughter, light of my life, thinks I'm going to leave her. I asked her why she thinks like that, but she was adamant on not telling me. After luring her, I came to know her stepmother told her that when I will get a new husband, I will leave her and make a new family. That woman, she even said it's only her father who will be with her till the end. Is she insane? I told my daughter that I don't have any plans of getting married again. And even if there's something like that, I would never leave her. She's gonna always be my daughter. Truthfully speaking, my daughter still is hesitant. She still thinks I will leave her. I've taken a week off. Me and my daughter, we are spending it together with my parents. After the little vacation, I'm getting a counselor for her.
That is really just so messed up. Yeah, no overreaction here. It seems like you just reacted. You were really on top of it. You were like, "Ooh, that's not good." And then you were right.
I had a talk with my lawyer. He said we got evidence and everything. He can help me get full custody of my child. I have no intention of dragging my ex to court again, but if there's another incident like this, I won't hesitate. After this, I had a talk with my ex alone. I told him everything about how our daughter feels, how his wife doesn't know her boundaries, how he would feel if I asked my daughter to call a random man dad. He said he had no idea things would turn like this. He only left them alone with the purpose to bond. I feel like he's lying. I told him clearly that I won't let that woman anywhere near my daughter, and if he is against it, we can just go to court. For now, we have decided that he can meet our daughter at his parents' house, and after some time, if my daughter agrees, he can take my daughter to his home. It's his responsibility to not let my kid alone with that woman.
But I feel like all of that is fair.
That's valid. I think she's
making her daughter uncomfortable. I honestly, unless we read more and this ex proves to be kind of a crazy person, I kind of believe that he didn't know about this.
I think so too. Yeah.
I honestly, which is another problem because I think he just probably doesn't know this woman that well. Like he's been with her like a year.
Yeah. I had a talk with that woman too. She just started crying and putting all blame on me, saying I'm jealous of her having my husband. Why would I be jealous of someone having my ex? I don't have any energy to waste on her petty dramas. About that woman, I don't know why she's doing all this. I gave it a lot of thought and only came up with this. Apparently, my ex-in-laws are against this wedding. So maybe she wants to get on their good side through my daughter, or she's crazy. By the way, you can join us live on YouTube and Facebook every weekday at 3 p.m. PST, and we're probably live right now, so tap our profile.
Tap it.
There's another relevant update, but let's discuss.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have the same thoughts as
Yeah.
before. Don't let her near your daughter.
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily have to go right into a custody battle. I think it's just if this continues to happen
Yeah.
and your ex doesn't, listen to your concerns, then it's like, okay, well, now we have to go to court for this.
Yeah.
I think hopefully he'll listen.
Just
and
unfortunate
yeah.
though, like this poor kid. I just want to make things right for my daughter. I even came to know that my child thinks she's the reason for our divorce.
No.
And many of you guys said ex got married within a year. Maybe he was cheating.
Ooh.
Yes, he was cheating.
Oh.
I came to know about it recently, and truthfully speaking, I don't even want to confront him for this. I just want to leave him peacefully without much drama in my life. Maybe someday I will ask him, get the answers I'm looking for, but right now I just want to focus on myself and my daughter. Again, I'm really thankful to you guys. I never thought my daughter would think something like this. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know if I would ever come to know. Oh my gosh.
She really threw in that little piece
By the way,
of
he was a
cheating.
cheater.
That sucks. Oh.
And she's a mom snatcher.
She's trying to steal my kid and she also stole my boyfriend.
And that's the end of our story.
But there is another one. So my wife's ex is terminally ill. His Make-A-Wish is to spend a day with her. I thought Make-A-Wish was for kids. Hello, Reddit. My wife, let's call her Susan, and I have been married for 8 years. I've known her even before we were together, during which she was dating someone named Ken. Obviously not her real name. We were all part of a choral group in our church. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Last Wish, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, the three of us were actually quite good friends, and I genuinely thought Susan and Ken were going to be married/be together for a long time. It was a shock when Susan told me that they're no longer together. According to her, one day Ken just decided that he wanted to move interstate. When we asked why, he didn't explain. The next day he asked Susan if she wanted to join him. Confused, Susan said no, since she thought it was way too soon and she has work commitments. He then proceeded to break up with her, leaving Susan very depressed and confused. According to an information from a friend several months after the breakup, Ken had planned this for a long time and that he was seeing someone else interstate. However, these were all allegations based on some texts, and until now, Susan never found out why he left or why he broke up with her. It was all very confusing. When asked by friends on why they were no longer together, she simply said, I don't know. He just broke up with me because I don't want to move interstate with him. Years passed, we all forgot about it. Susan started to open up to me more, and then we started dating. The rest followed. Anyway, yesterday, Susan received a call from Ken's mom. She's a nice lady who semi-frequently watches our performances and volunteers during the Christmas Carol season. It was all very sudden because we only see her once or twice a year, and she never called in the past. She told Susan that Ken is terminally ill and has been for the past couple of months.
Ooh.
He is in a local hospital interstate. The hospital has a mini Make-A-Wish Foundation run by volunteers, and apparently Ken's request is to go to the national park for a picnic with her. It's all weird, right? I thought it was a bluff too, but it all seems legit. I talked to Ken's mom, and we both agreed that it's odd. Ken's mom said that Susan doesn't have to say yes. She's simply passing on what Ken said. The prognosis for Ken is grim, and we don't know how much time we have left. I suppose the sooner we decide, the better. Susan is obviously confused. She wants nothing to do with Ken again after what he's done to her, and a lengthy period has passed since then. But she admitted that she would feel bad refusing his last wish, especially if his prognosis is that grim. She said jokingly, well, you don't have to worry about me cheating. He's going to pass away anyway. A bit dark, but I mean, she has a point. I'm torn too. I trust Susan, and I know nothing romantic or anything will come from this if she chooses to see Ken. But why does he want to see her now? For closure, that's the only thing I can think of. He will most likely have a hospital volunteer stick around when he goes to the outing, so it's not like he can do anything weird. But why her? Why not use his wish for something else? Reversing the situation, however, if I'm terminally ill and obviously have an intention to meet someone, etc., and it gets rejected, I would be beyond depressed. I know how awful it must be for your last wish to be rejected. Am I looking too much into this? Should we honor his wish and let Susan spend the day with him, or should we just refuse? Any input is appreciated. And edit, forgot to add that when going for the picnic, there will be a hospital volunteer tagging along to supervise Ken, so they won't be alone. And there is an update.
Sophia,
Yes.
how does it go? Till death do us what?
Part. But they weren't married.
I mean, they weren't married, so he could do that.
I think that, one, you got to listen to what Susan wants. Is she going to be super uncomfortable doing this? Because she was pretty hurt about the situation, it seems. I don't know.
This is tricky, bro.
I don't know. What would you do in this situation? Your beautiful girlfriend that you have right now is messaged by an ex. and is
No.
and the ex is passing away and says, "My make-a-wish is for you to spend a day with me at a national park."
That's crazy, bro. That's your one
That's your
last
one
wish.
wish.
So-
Is like, I want to see my ex.
What I'm doing is I'm going to
Yeah.
say no, but then
Yeah.
if he keeps pursuing, then I'm going to help his day become closer.
But there is an update. So my wife got hold of Ken's mom, and we managed to ask more questions and clarifications. Thanks to those of you for your input on this one. Ken's mom only just heard about his plan to see Susan yesterday. No mention of it at all throughout his hospital stay. Ken has been reaching out to a lot of people recently, including his high school friends. She thinks that this could be a blanket attempt to reconcile with many people. When asked if she remembered anything / if Ken said anything re-break up with Susan, Susan actually asked this question herself. She said that she didn't even know both of them broke up until a couple weeks after. That's crazy. An interesting thing she said is that Ken has always felt that there's nothing much for him to do in the state he was originally from, the state we're in, and that he wanted to do something different. He may have jumped the pew too quickly, landed a job too soon without consulting Susan, he didn't, and freaked when realizing Susan was not ready to move. Ken's mom thinks this is most likely the cause of the breakup, even though Ken never told her exactly why. They're not very close. Upon hearing this, Susan thinks it makes sense. But she said what he did was still not very nice because he never told her that he was unhappy with their living arrangements at the time. Even though Ken did well in his new job, it was very stressful and he got into weed, alcohol, heavy smoking. These contribute to his current illness. That sucks. It has been confirmed a medical volunteer will accompany him if he does choose to go outside hospital grounds. Since Ken is getting more unsteady on his feet, he will most likely be wheelchair bound soon, according to her. When asked why meeting Susan in a park was his idea, Ken's mom simply had no idea. Ken is happy for me to accompany Susan to the park venue, wherever it may be. Oh, this is an added kind of variable now. So now you get to go with Angie to this date. Not a date.
Listen, if I know this is like not even a threat anymore. If
Yeah,
I
it's
know
like-
this guy is not making it,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, Carly, let's go see your. I think if you're cool with your ex, let's
Yeah,
go see your
like, if
ex,
you're
and like no funny
comfortable.
business. Let's go. Great.
Yeah.
I want to respect the wishes of someone's literal last wish.
Literal
I'm like, that's
last
a weird wish, bro. But like,
Yeah.
sure. Like, if that's what you want,
If
you
you
don't want to
wanna
go to
talk
like
to her.
Disneyland or go to another country. You want to do
Yeah.
that?
I feel like now that he's kind of like he's allowed to come, I think it's chill.
Yeah, if it was for me, I don't know, man. I'd do this for certain exes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I said.
It's
If
not
it's like a
every
cordial
ex.
thing.
He is also fine with us meeting him in the hospital, but there is a strict 2-person a day visiting rule in a place at the moment, so his mom may not be able to look after him if the both of us rock up at the same time. His mom would like to visit him daily to help with daily living, baths. Ken is reluctant with a Skype call or phone call in general. Ken's mom stated that his speech is quite slurred at his stage, and he hasn't been eating and drinking much lately, so his mouth is dry most days, so it's uncomfortable for him to speak. Writing a letter is not something he can do these days due to him being drowsy from medication / sedated. Dictating would be hard too because, see point above. She's been helping him type emails to friends some days. There is a possibility of Ken being transferred to his mom's home for his end of life if it gets to that stage. Ken's mom reiterates that Susan can decline the offer, And with everything going on in the world, she would understand if she can't make it. But she hopes that we would consider it for her son. With this update and conversation with his mom, we're more inclined to go instead of not going.
Yeah.
Still would like some thoughts on what we may have missed, though I think it covers everything now. We will be in regular contact with his mom until we know what's going on. Susan and I did a mini risk assessment, and we conclude that this is pretty harmless. She said she still feels apathetic towards him, but would still feel bad if she doesn't go to visit. So she would like to go with me now that Ken and his mom said it's okay for both of us to go.
I will say this changes things.
I think it changes a lot. I think before I was like a little bit reservations, but I was still like, yeah, I'd probably go.
Yeah. And then you throw like the terminally ill part into it.
Yeah.
They can't really do much. They
Yeah.
can't make moves on my girl.
That's what I'm
All
saying.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Terminally ill. And also you can go with your partner. And it seems like he just wants to make amends.
This is like, you want to make sure this person like rest in peace, literally, you know?
But there is another update. Update 3, Susan and I just got back from doing shopping and chores, and we had some more talks about this. We actually reached out to a couple of our friends in the Coral group, and one of them actually knew Ken's been unwell, just didn't know that he's that unwell. No one really talks about Ken in our group because Susan and I are still there. The fact that he's this unwell has been kept under wraps quite tightly. Susan said it seems like she has the power to make Ken's end of life a bit easier, so she would like to visit him, along with me, and listen to what he has to say, if any, and that's the end of it. We don't know what the logistics will be when this will happen, since obviously it would require a lot of planning from Ken's family as well, and himself, but I will post an update once we all meet him, since there seems to be a lot of interest in this. We've texted our Coral group members to perhaps visit him together when the time is right and restrictions are lifted, and they were all keen to send him off with one last song, The Irish Blessing. We will be reading through the comments and replying the best we could. For those of you saying Make-A-Wish Foundation is for kids, we know this. This is the hospital's version of it, run completely by volunteers. It is only available in their end-of-life care facilities. I'm sure there is a proper name for this, and Ken's mom said Make-A-Wish because it explains what they do simply. Why at the park? No clue, probably because it's pretty. But Ken must have said to the organizer with his mom, and she simply relayed it. With him being that sick, I'm sure he didn't really care so much about the location, as signified by his willingness for a change of venue and for me to join in too. And why did we decide to post this on Reddit? Well, because it's simply a very weird occurrence. It was a joke, actually. Susan said, why not post this on RA and see what kind of interesting perspectives we get? If it's just Ken, and he's not passing away, and he wants to meet Susan at the park out of the blue, then the answer would have been heck no from the both of us. But the fact that he's been reaching out to others after revelation with his mom, of course, and unwell makes it a bit more complicated. There is a third update. We will be seeing Ken next week. The hospital doesn't allow large groups, so it will just be the two of us visiting. The choir group will visit separately. Thank you all for your input. We will make a post with an update on how that goes. Oh, that was a short update, and there is a fourth update. We're going to barrel into that one. The meeting actually went really well.
Okay.
Great. So after a couple of reschedules, we drove to the hospital to see Ken and his mom earlier this week. We arrived quite early in the morning, around 8 a.m. His mom stays with him overnight most days, so it was good timing for her to hand over Ken to us while she goes back and rests. A Redditor suggested an idea that we brought in a care package for her, and we did. It's just a box filled with a couple pairs of warm socks, moisturizer, books, and toiletries. She burst into tears when receiving those. It was such a great idea. Anyway, firstly, we came together, my wife and myself, and we did a small catch-up. It was a slow process since Ken couldn't really speak too long in one go, if I make sense, so it had to be broken up in sections. I asked him if he would like some time alone with Susan, and he said yes. So I left both of them alone and went out for a walk and to do a bit of remote work on my laptop. I just told her to text me if she needs anything. So I left Susan and Ken for about a couple hours before Susan texted me that I can come back up. Anyway, during this time, basically Susan asked, what happened to Ken? Why did he move interstate so soon, and was there another motive behind it? Well, the story goes as follows. We're finally finding out the reason why Ken broke up with Susan years later. Ken was working a low-paying job at the time and was feeling like he was never going to get any career progression. Susan and myself knew Ken has always been creative-minded. He got a diploma in film and everything. But we didn't know is that behind everyone's back during that time, he was searching for career opportunities in film and animation industry. He put in a job application for fun and a few months later got offered a position as an intern animator, something along those lines according to Susan. He was stoked, but he didn't expect that he would actually get the job. Therefore, he actually never planned anything in advance. But you should tell your partner about that, regardless of whether or not you think it's going to happen. The job required him to move interstate ASAP, and Ken felt pressure to say yes. Since he's applied to other similar jobs in the past but got rejected, hence why it took him by surprise and he didn't do any planning, it's the, well, I won't get it anyway, so why should I make arrangements mentality, according to Susan. So he asked Susan to move with him, but left out the job details since, as an intern, he will get paid even less than what he's earning with a lot of voluntary work. He was scared that Susan will not approve of the lower wage. He left out the details and just asked her to move out with him. He admitted it was stupid and apologized for being immature about it. After the breakup and after working a few months as an intern, he said that working in the industry is not like what he thought it would be. There was a lot of crunch time to the point where him and the other interns were spending most of their time in the office, even sleeping while waiting for the program code animation to finish compiling. Dang, I'm not tech savvy, but I figured animations take a long time to set up. Yeah. He then got into booze since everyone in the office also drinks. This then turned to severe drinking to cope with stress. This then turned to smoking and substances. Anyway, he stuck it out and became a technical lead, but he said he had zero social life or support apart from a couple colleagues, and that he's burning himself out every day. The support he got was basically a small group that goes out on social drinks only. That's why he kept going back into booze and substances. He's been in and out of hospital with booze poisoning and actually never sought help. He said he might also be depressed, but he's earning enough just to pay rent with all his booze expenses, so he didn't seek any help. He also did a lot of other bad decisions that are popcorn worthy, but way too long to include here. Things that got him arrested, fired from his job, so he had to find another, etc., etc. When asked about the park situation, he said there was no malice intended. It was only because he was sick of being in a hospital all the time with no window of opportunity to go outside. And that's it, really. His substance abuse got him to where he is now. I managed to catch up with him and reminisce about the good old days when we were still hanging out together. Told him it's hard to see anyone these days due to the vid. He said that a few of his old friends from school have visited him and he was so happy that they still care. He told me that he tried reaching out to his former girlfriend as well to apologize, but only Susan turned up. He has had other relationships since breaking up with her. He said he's sad about it, but he would like to tie up loose ends while he still has the time.
Okay.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is sad. It is sad to hear that he had a rough life and things didn't turn out the way he wanted to.
And it led to this. And it's really, I mean, I'm sure it's devastating for him to, you know, go through all of that and then kind of have that period of reflection as he's passing away, that he's made all these mistakes and this is the only time that he's going to have to fix them.
Yeah. Good on you guys for giving him the space to apologize.
Yeah.
That is...
I mean, that's really big. You didn't have to.
Yeah. Now that I have all the context here, this is incredible.
In terms of his prognosis, I asked, and he said he doesn't know, though there are plans for him to continue end-of-life care at home, and he would prefer it that way. When we left Ken, I asked Susan what she thought of everything, and she told me that she felt a lot better now that she's gone and seen him. She then told me all of the story above during the ride back home. Plenty of time she was cursing and saying, "Man, I can't believe you did that. What a dumb person." So for those of you who are worried that she might go back to Ken, sorry to burst your bubble. I don't think it's happening. I mean, he's also passing away. I asked her how she's feeling again the next day, and she's pretty much forgotten about it. And just hope that his mom can cope with the stress since she's a nice person. She does look a lot less guilty though, so I'm glad we did go. We haven't really touched on this topic again for days now since we've been focusing more on work and our upcoming road trip. They're literally taking a vacation.
Dude.
This is literally what I said. But you know what is upcoming? Full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. But there is just a teeny bit left to the story. But I think that it all worked out. I mean, it's still really sad that, you know, this man is passing away. But it seems like he had that moment of closure.
Yeah.
And also that OP and his wife didn't feel uncomfortable giving that to him. But there's a little bit left to the story. Thanks for all the Redditors who chimed in and helped from both perspectives. In these uncertain times, we should still try to be kind to others. And if there's any takeaway from this is to seek help if you need it. Obviously, Ken was in a bad spot, but spurred by bad influences. If you know a friend of yours who's spiraling out of control or starting to get into destructive habits, reach out. Who knows, you might save a life. That's sad. That is a sad note to end on. Ouch. But that is the end of that story. And I mean, it's very sad, but it worked out in some ways.
Yeah. I'm just proud of you guys for being the angels.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You definitely did not have to do that. So it's very, very kind of you.
But you don't have to worry about another one of your girlfriend's exes anymore.
My entitled ex-stepmother feels entitled to a relationship with me after 6 years of no contact.
Sounds like you gotta earn that one.
I, 24, female, am a child of divorce. My biological parents split when I was 4 years old. My mother started dating again when I was 7 to a wonderful man, and I love him to death, but my absolute idiot of a father dated several women between the time I was 4 to 8. Half of the time he was in and out of my life as it was, but that's not what this is about. By the way, this comes from DMG 5620, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. This is about his last girlfriend, his wife, prior to his death. My stepmother, whom I affectionately call my ex-stepwitch, SB, walked into my life after she met my dad while she was in a women's rehab group in my hometown where my dad and his Christian rock band played. Very Bible Belt area of the southern US. I always had an issue with the girls that walked into my life because of bullying due to my absolutely insane name that this man gave me, as well as his first girlfriend after leaving my mother, abusing me and my little sister when we were very young. Not to mention that the reason he and my mother divorced was because he was constantly on substances, so I was very aware of what her rehab group was for, which made my skepticism even worse. She showed up one day when I was 8.5, I remember, because it was summer and my birthday was in January. It was my dad's week, 50-50 custody, and dad was going to take me and my sister to our uncle's house to go swimming, but we were waiting for stepmother. It was that day that dad told me and my, at the time, 7-year-old sister that they were dating and had been for 3 months without saying anything to us. For minor context, my dad screamed at my mom for not telling her that she was dating someone, so there were issues in that for me. I distinctly remember looking at my dad, then at stepmother, then back at dad, and her again, until I pointed at her and told my dad, "She's gonna do something bad." That was the beginning of our dynamic. Fast forward to not only my dad getting married to this woman, but me being used by her as a test subject for her psychology degree. What? She never finished this, by the way. I was 11 at this time and playing in my bedroom with my sister and cousin, waiting for lunch after church on Super Bowl Sunday of 2012. My sister and cousin were on the computer that was in my room because we didn't have enough TVs. They were playing Movie Star Planet, which was all the rage at the time, and were using the camera feature. When the flash went off, I started to feel funny, to say the least. So much so that I started seeing red dots everywhere. I told the two of them, and my cousin made the joke that I was about to have a seizure. And to my surprise, he was right! Now, this next part I don't have much memory of, other than stories from my sister, cousin, and dad telling me after I came to. Apparently, the two of them ran downstairs to get a drink, leaving me on the bed until my dad came upstairs to get me for lunch. Apparently, I was having a full grand mal seizure out of nowhere, and my dad did everything he could think of to keep me from hurting myself while calling 911.
Time out.
Terrifying.
Did this woman make you have a seizure somehow?
No.
Was that why she was testing you? And was like, hey, you're about to have a seizure, and they called it too soon right before that it actually happened.
Well, then that was the cousin that called it.
Well, some information probably slipped.
Something suspicious.
They probably heard it through the vents and was like, I'm going to have a seizure. And then boom.
I remember waking up a little in the ambulance and my dad telling me I was okay and I should go back to sleep, which I did. Next, I knew I heard noises, one of those being "Touchdown Patriots" and my dad cheering. The first thing I said after waking up was asking if he was watching the Super Bowl without me. That's when the room exploded. It was the first time since I was very young that my mom and dad were in the same room and not screaming at each other. Not the last, but that's a different story. I remember looking around after my eyes adjusted to see I was in a white room, a hospital room, still in my church dress that I was going to change out after lunch and before the game. My mom and dad called the doctor back in to check on me, and I was scheduled for so many different appointments after that, including a sudden re-entry to the hospital because we found out I was allergic to the seizure med they gave me while I was unconscious. Oh Gosh,
Been
just
there
hit
before.
after hit, man. This part was told to me years later by my mother when I was about 17. Apparently, while I was passed out and getting tests done, stepmother, instead of checking on me, called our pastor to pray over me. He was a good man, but I now have nothing to do with the Christian faith because of stepmother and my dad. But because it was a smaller hospital and involved a child, it was only direct family allowed inside the room with me. Stepmother told the hospital staff that she was my biological mother. We looked nothing alike, and she was 28 when I was 11. When my real mom showed up, the pastor who was outside the room told her it was family only. And when she told him that she was my mother, and thankfully one of the new nurses that showed up was a friend of my mom's, she was let in and stepmother was punted out. From what I'm told, stepmother got yelled at by our pastor for lying to him about my mother not having anything to do with me or my sister when in fact she was very involved in our lives. Good on the pastor. I was supposed to go to her house that day after she got off work, which was conveniently right after the Super Bowl. Anyway, after I was released from the hospital and my mom took me home to her house, things were okay. I was off school for a week because the seizure came out of nowhere and my primary wanted to have me come in every other day for checkups just in case. Things changed, however, when I went back to my dad's. I had gotten off school after my first day back, and while I'm doing my chores, which was washing dishes that day, stepmother came into the kitchen while my dad was in their bedroom playing World of Warcraft and told me that it was all my fault that the church is mad at her and she hated me for it. This lady's crazy.
So you're putting a lot of pressure on a child
who literally didn't do any, was in, in the hospital. And then you lied about being her mother. And then her actual mother said, no, I'm her mom. And that's what got you in trouble. Again, I'm 11 and this 28-year-old woman is blaming me for her getting in trouble with a man she lied to. Not to mention that she and my dad would tell me anytime I was sick after the seizure, it was all in my head, or you're overreacting, your pain can't be hospital level. My dad was a Navy veteran, so he always used that line whenever I was hurting, not realizing that medication I had been taking for years made my pain tolerance severely low. Ironically, though, they were sort of right, explained further down. Since that day, we absolutely despised each other to the point that no matter what I did, I was getting Bible thumped. Even going so far as to make me late for an assignment for my freshman English class in high school because I made the mistake of claiming Greek mythology made more sense to me than the Bible. This still holds true to this day. I'm practicing Norse pagan moon Wiccan. She even got so insecure about my blatant hatred of her that she asked me to show her my messages between me and my counselor that I was assigned because of dual self-harm attempts. I was 14 at that time, and even I, someone who at the time was studying away forensic science and had an unhealthy obsession with criminal minds and law and order, knew that was illegal as heck and told my counselor about it at our next session. That nonsense got shut down very fast. Thankfully, she's been mostly out of my life since I was 17 when my father passed away of a substance withdrawal-induced heart attack. She and my father had apparently been on substances again. Big shocker and a personal I told you so on my part. And subjecting me and my sister to the fumes, which made me violently ill for several months, and we didn't know why until Dad passed. The last time I saw her was 6 months after he passed away when I turned 18, and I got the one thing of my dad's that I wanted, which was a 12-string electric guitar. Big music family. However, that wasn't the last time she tried to make contact with me. Recently, while I was in college, already stressed out because of more health issues that stemmed from the seizure incident coming up and the sudden passing away of one of my dad's 4 sons, stepmother started to spam my Facebook Messenger asking how I was doing, if school was going good, all this kind of crap, only to yell at me for coming out as a demigirl, semi-non-binary that leads towards the feminine side. I was using they, them at the time, and she called me an abomination, which was strange because I didn't tell her or anyone else outside of my college friends who were on the other side of the country from where she was back in my home state. Apparently, my one brother who still has contact with her for some reason told her about me asking to be called sibling on our brother's obituary, thinking I still talked to this woman like my sister did occasionally. He was fully aware I hated her with a burning passion, but not exactly why. I'm not close with any of my brothers for various reasons, but that's besides the point. Stepmother was tormenting me over the phone while I was studying away for finals before returning home to get medical tests done. Come to find out, I have epilepsy, autism, and a vein malformation in my brain that nobody cared to check after my seizure because the neurologist I saw in my home state at the time was an idiot and claimed I had the seizure due to low blood sugar, which, come to find out, is a massive side side effect of the epilepsy and the malformation. I'm sorry, they didn't do any other checks when you had a seizure? They were just like, oh, I don't know, she didn't eat enough. What?
Typical girl stuff.
Oh my God, that's so frustrating. I do have a blood sugar issue, but when I seize, it gets dangerously low due to a plethora of other issues, hormone and chemical-wise, in my messed up body. I now have to go to the capital of my home state after dropping out of college because of insurance issues and have a consultation with a neurosurgeon to see if they're going to put me through radiation or just cut the malformation out of my brain. I went to Facebook in order to warn anyone on either side of my family since my epilepsy was genetic and I'm the first to have it on either side, as well as update my cousins who I still have contact with in that part of the state if they wanted to visit. Stepmother effing commented saying I should go see her instead. Block this woman. Block her. Why are you still texting her? I nearly screamed. I was so mad that she was still acting all lovey-dovey to me, but thankfully my boyfriend was able to calm me down enough not to do something stupid and commented himself that if any of my family wanted to stay in contact with me, they will keep stepmother away from any information on my location and life. So far, only my uncle, my dad's last living sibling, and his sons are the only ones who still keep regular contact with me or my sister from my dad's side. I have little contact with my mom's family my entire life, other than one of my two brothers on her side. I have my fingers crossed that the situation gets better before I lose my whole mind, but I have a feeling she won't come anywhere near me or our hometown because of how many bridges she's burnt here by hurting me and my sister. Small town, lots of motorcycle bikers who happen to be family to us. By the way, you guys are family to us, and you should listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. She's been ruining my life on and off since I was a kid, and I hope with this I can now have some peace away from her while I deal with everything. I am eternally grateful to my boyfriend for keeping me sane during all of this stuff, as well as my younger sister and stepdad who have been helping me with appointments and paying for my medication while I work on getting my disability processed. And that is the end of that story.
My ex's new girlfriend is furious that his family still talks to me. She wants them to cut contact.
Dang, they like you better than her.
February 18th, 2025. So, I'm divorced. I will freely admit that I'm most at fault for the divorce. I never should have been married, but hindsight is 20/20, as they say. My own family is a crap show and a half. I've known my ex's family for the majority of my life. By the way, this comes from No Consequence 41. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. When we split up, some of his family has kept in contact with me, including his mom and one of his sisters. It's nothing crazy, but we grab a drink from time to time, and his mom just checks in to see how I'm doing. Knowing how family is, she worries about me even though I tell her not to. We split a few years ago, and the divorce was final more than a year and a half ago. Despite me being the a-hole in my marriage, my ex doesn't have any crazy bitterness, and we have a decent relationship now. In the years since we split, he's never had an issue with his family staying in contact with me. I know for sure because I've asked. Enter new girlfriend. They've been married for 6 months or so. She's 27, and he's sneaking up on 40. Not that big of a deal, but she's not a fan of the fact that he's been married before. As I've gotten more serious, she's taken extreme exception to the fact that his mother and sister in particular still keep in contact with me. I'm petty and laughed my butt off the first time she came at me all about it. Privately, I talked with his mom and sister though and told them I totally understand if they need to cut contact to keep the peace. They assure me that they do what they want to do and not what the girlfriend of a hot minute demands.
Yeah.
Since I'm still in contact with them, she's taken the mature approach of posting all my misdeeds on social media, some of which have impacts on people that don't deserve it. Well, maybe deserve it a little, but in any case, it's rocking a lot of boats. 3 weeks ago, I was out with friends at a bar. The new girlfriend was there with the ex. She was livid and demanded I immediately leave. I gave the appropriate response and laughed, turned around, and continued my conversation. She proceeded to hit me from behind and smash my head into the bar top. I lost consciousness for a few, and when I came to it, she was being pulled away and the cops were being called. I declined charges at the time, but was told if I changed my mind to contact them. So since being petty and posting everything about me, I'm thinking maybe those charges sound a whole lot better. My ex is begging me not to, saying he will rein her in and get her to stop. But man, I want to pull the trigger now and just do it.
Do it. You should have done it earlier.
As I've admitted, I'm not the good guy in this story, but am I the a-hole if I do file charges against this girl?
No, you would be stupid not to file charges. She attacked you.
Yeah, we got some comments. Press charges for sure. Facebook won't do much, but you can print them out to show a pattern of aggression with her. It will reinforce the harmful act charge and might get you a restraining order against her. OP responds to that. Even if what she posts is the truth, she's not posting lies, but at the same time, it's things from years ago and causing a lot of undue stress for people, including me. Commenter 2, your ex-husband here is kind of hilarious. I'm imagining he's standing in front of you with you having the biggest black eye from getting your face smashed into the table by her and having the audacity to say basically, I can fix her. OP says, this makes me smile because it's kind of like him. Imagine a hot, massive 6'4" formal football player with the softest heart ever. He sees the best in everyone to his own detriment. He's really a great guy and deserves so much better. I don't know this girl's story, but it's a safe bet he thinks he can fix her too. Comment 3, husband has really not upgraded his game. He really needs therapy to stop with the toxic women. LP says, LOL, I'm pretty sure I told him this exact same thing after the incident. And OP, why didn't OP press charges? OP, to be fair, it's not for her. I have a guilt about what I did to my ex. I definitely was the a-hole to him, so I didn't press charges for him. But things have started to go off the rails since. So it wasn't for her, it was for my ex. He's ultimately a good guy that always wants to fix people that are in some way broken, hence our doomed marriage. He knew going into it that I had issues, but he cared and wanted to give me a shot. I don't know much of anything about this girl because, frankly, I didn't feel like it concerned me, but maybe he felt she was his next one to fix, and it's not going well. OP on the relationship with her ex-mother-in-law. My ex-mother-in-law is one of the best humans. She's long been the mother I've always wished I had. Even when I was the a-hole, she called me on it, but still cared. I've told her and my ex that I understand and will bow out at any time, but she's still there for me. OP clarifies on being involved with her ex's family. I'm honestly not involved in my ex's family. My relationship with his sister predates our relationship, and his mom only checks in on my life and fills me in on her friend gossip, and my ex is fine with this. We are friends long before our romantic relationship, and while we aren't friends to speak anymore, there isn't animosity. Did OP know the girlfriend and if she's apologetic? OP says, I honestly don't know next to nothing about this girl. While my ex moved past all our issues and we are good now, I don't feel the need to find out all the details on his new woman. She was apparently highly intoxicated, and he claims it's highly out of character for her to be physical and violent. But the pettiness now is just too much.
I don't care if it's out of character. You shouldn't. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for that.
Absolutely. She's like overwhelmed with jealousy. It's weird. Also, what did you do?
Tell us. Tell us.
Did OP have any kids with her ex-husband? We have no kids, but he has one with his first wife. They don't live nearby anymore, so her ire has been directed at me. First wife and I are very good friends, if you can believe that. How did the girlfriend know about OP's past with ex? Part of some therapy I was in, I had a journal where I wrote out things. I stupidly forgot it when I moved out, and it was with his things. She found it. She found therapy journals I forgot about and left behind. She's posting things from those.
That's messed up. Also, the fact that the ex isn't doing anything about that is also messed up.
Yeah.
Like, one, she assaulted OP. That's crazy. And two, she's posting private thoughts and things, and it seems like the ex is aware of that because she's posting them on a public forum, and he's not doing anything and is still expecting OP to just be chill with it and not, press charges.
All right, February 19th, the next day. So today I learned that my ex actually did split with a girlfriend this past weekend.
That makes sense. It would be insane if he stayed with her. She's crazy.
After reading many of the comments, I've decided I was going to go ahead with the charges. I gave my ex-mother-in-law a call just to let her know, and so she could let my ex know so she had a heads up. I don't know or want to know the details of the breakup, but he ended it and told his mom that he understands if I wanted to press charges and that he never should have asked me not to in the first place.
Good.
I spoke with the officer today, and that's done. Likely little will happen to her, but at least there's some consequences. I had a lot of people asking why we divorced in the comments and DMs. Without getting too far into it, I've always been someone that didn't believe in monogamy. I freaking knew it, or believed it was something I was capable of. I knew it. I knew she cheated. I knew it.
Well, wait. Let's read the next sentence.
My ex was aware of this going into our relationship. I was on board for many years on our own definition of our marriage and relationship. And by definition, if you want to have a good time and continue this great thing we got going on here, go to your favorite podcast platform, search up OK Storytime on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll have stories as crazy as this one. Anyways, back to this. Over the years, I could tell that it weighed on him, so I tried to change. Believe in the things he did, but ultimately, it just didn't work. I ended the marriage large part because he wanted more kids, and I did not. I wasn't the angel, and the end was a little messy, but we came to a good place. Thanks again for the messages, those who made me laugh more than they should have. And that is the end of that story.
Wow, I need more information about anything.
I
need more information.
For real?
Yeah. Like, what did you? And I mean, it seems like you were going to press the charges. What happened with that? He's breaking up with his girlfriend. How did she take it? What did you do? Did you cheat? I don't understand.
I think she cheated. I think.
Well, she was like, "Oh, we had an understanding that I didn't do monogamy."
I had an understanding, but then
he
was probably
didn't like it.
He probably didn't agree with it. It didn't work out. Just lack of communication / being on the same page.
All right. I guess that's fine.
My best friend is a cheater, so I sided with her ex-husband when they got divorced.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's good. My best friend, 35 female, Emily, and I, 35 female, have been friends since college and lived together for 3 years. Since then, we've both been married, had jobs, had kids, and plenty of moves, but we have been very close friends through it all. When she got married, I was her maid of honor.
Oh.
And when I got married, my only sister was my maid of honor, but she stood right next to her. By the way, this comes from Primary Possession 21 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I have always valued Emily as a friend. She was always my practical friend. I was always the mom of the group, making the plans, planning the itinerary, keeping our friends safe, etc. But I wasn't alone when she was around. She was a good time, but level-headed. She was there for me throughout college and through the many ups and downs. One of those friends that can pick up at any time right where you left off. 3 years ago, we did a couple's vacation to wine country. It was supposed to be a fun weekend away without kids, and all of us like wine. Emily was a mess. Got super wasted by the second vineyard and was practically falling over herself. Broke some of the wine glasses and threw up.
Oh,
man.
Emily.
I've never been like wine tasting or anything, but I have heard that it's like really easy to get drunk.
Well, I mean, you're tasting so many.
Sipping out.
I had one glass of champagne on New Year's. I was like, that's too much.
Like, whoa. But still, like, you should probably understand when like you're getting there, you know? We're in our 30s and I've done tastings and wine trips before, so it's not like she didn't know how to pace herself. It was weird, but we tried to just go home and to bed and try again the next day, but the whole trip was just weird. Emily picked fights with me and with her husband, wound up crying and literally laying on the lawn of the house we stayed at for a while. Her husband told me at one point that she threatened to divorce him if he didn't agree to another kid. Whoa. That's not how you want to go into parenting.
I kind of led to my parents' divorce.
Right. While I told him their family planning is private, and between them, I also said that ultimatums had no place in a marriage and advised marriage counseling instead of coming to me. The last day of our trip, I pulled her aside and said that I was worried about what I was seeing and that she might want to consider talking to someone. I told her therapy helped me so much, and I think she might really benefit from it, considering everything she had going on. She also revealed a bunch of family trauma during the trip that was very dark. She flipped out at me and told me that there was nothing wrong with her, that if I needed a shrink, that was on me, but that she didn't need that and I should mind my own business. I put my hands up and said, okay, no problem, my bad, and left it alone. Our friendship wasn't the same after. Mind you, this is 3 years ago. She lives about 30 minutes from me and has seen me a handful of times since. I reached out to her 2 years ago when my second son was born and having postpartum, asking to spend some time together since I was really struggling. And while she was empathetic and would text me back, we didn't spend any time together, nor did she reach out or support me in any way not directly requested. We were invited to the big things, birthday parties, etc., but the texting, calling, and everyday friend stuff pretty much stopped. She invited me to a concert about a year ago with another friend, Bree, and during the concert accidentally revealed that she had asked every single other one of her friends to go before she asked me because they had an extra ticket.
Why would you reveal that? It's like, yeah, you were my last choice.
But like, so glad you're here. All that to say, we're not super close anymore. Fast forward to 3 months ago. Her husband texted me at 6 a.m. asking me to call. He told me that he found out while on vacation with Bree and her husband that Emily had been cheating on him.
No.
She told him that she never loved him, wanted a divorce, and had planned to stay together until after the holidays. Bree called me the same day and said that her husband found out because Bree's husband knew the details of their girls' trip the weekend before, where Emily slept with 2 random men connected with her ex-boyfriend from college and asked Bree to keep this all secret until after the holidays. Oh man. Right before they were all going on vacation together. It was a total mess. Dang. Sorry, I know this is really long, but I'm trying to include the details so people get the whole picture. Since this happened, she has lied continuously to her now ex-husband, her friend Bree, and to me. She called me the day all of this happened and said that she was sorry for our falling out, but I had seen things during the trip that she wasn't ready to face, and that she realized that she's unhappy in her marriage and motherhood 2 months prior, and that she missed her ex, so she decided to leave. Like, what? Yeah, that's a lot of info.
Seems like she does this trauma dumping thing a lot. It happened on the wine trip too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, I hope he's like, hey, you should get that checked out.
And she's like, I don't have a problem. She's
And
like,
she's
let
like,
me
"Hey."
lay in the lawn just because I want to.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong.
Literally nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
I just am touching grass.
Just cheating on my husband with multiple people,
including my ex.
We talked for a while and I asked if she would try counseling or anything to save their marriage, especially considering the kids, and she said absolutely, and that she didn't want to throw her life away but realizes it's not working. When she got home to her husband, she said that she wouldn't do counseling, already had a boyfriend, and wanted a divorce. Dang. That took a whole 180.
Well, it seems like she's just trying to say whatever OP wants to hear. So she's like, because she doesn't want to lose this friend, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. She gave him the house as long as he would pay for her tummy tuck. She moved into an apartment and is thrilled to be on her own. Booked about 5 vacations in the first couple of weeks on her own. She has no job, no prospects, no applications out the door. And the only money she had after their divorce was final is gone already. I guess you can get a divorce in 30 days if uncontested. Anyways, this brings me to now. Several of her friends, including Bree, have talked to me since expressing their dismay for the whole situation, and we all feel so bad for the kids. She was super mom, then imploded, and is basically gone. She's up 1 minute and down the next. We all strongly suspect there is something very wrong, but Emily has not been receptive to me in the past, and a few others have recommended therapy, or at least to put on the brakes before changing anything, to no avail. Emily and I have talked once in the last few months, and then when she told me to come visit her at her new apartment and to let me know she and her husband got divorced, at which point I told her I knew that since he and my husband are friends and have talked several times while all of this was going on. Her husband, my husband, and I have all been friends for now 10 years, and this is just so unlike the Emily we knew, so we all have whiplash and have been in touch with him a lot throughout all of this because he's completely devastated and very much in the place of, is this seriously who I married? We also want to be a support for the kids as much as possible. We've been talking to her ex-husband now for months and have gotten together a few times with the kids without Emily to give him support and have our kids, who are all friends and little, like all under the age of 8, some happy, fun times. I haven't said anything to her about it, And while on one hand, I feel I don't really owe her anything at this point, on the other hand, I feel incredibly guilty and like I'm going behind her back since we have been friends for a long time. By the way, you never have to feel incredibly guilty if you just listen to full episodes like these with stories like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Do it.
There is a little bit more, but I think we need to unpack.
So OP has been with a couple other friends, I guess. She's been helping out Emily's ex-husband with the kids because they're friends too, and has not told Emily about any of this. And that's what she's kind of asking. No, I don't think you're the a-hole for helping out this the ex-husband, who's also your friend, and his kids, because it's clear that you and Emily just have very different values and morals and stuff.
Right. And I mean, you have
people.
Come to Emily, like you've been there for Emily and like talked to her about it, but she
pushed you off. She's yelled at you. Yeah.
Right. Or like when she does take your advice and like agree with you, then like behind your back, switches up. And I mean, you can still have the idea of like, listen, if she comes to me and she needs help, like I'll be there for her. But right now I'm not going to come to her. I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah, totally.
But there is a little bit more. So let's get on into it. That said, my husband now pretty much hates her for everything she's done to her husband and children and wants nothing to do with her. Her ex-husband has been floundering through all of this and has been isolated, so I do think a connection with him and the kids through this is where the support is needed, and I really don't think that you can or should be friends with both sides in a situation like this. I haven't posted pictures of our kids together or hinted at seeing them in any way, but it all just feels icky and like I'm abandoning her. So am I the a-hole? And that is it. So what do we think?
I don't think you're abandoning her. I think that she is kind of pushed you to the side multiple times.
Yeah.
When you try to help. So
yeah, I think she's the one that's like not putting in the effort into the friendship or any of her relationships, obviously. I think it's okay to have a friend that you don't agree with what they're doing and try to urge them to do the right thing and be like, you know what? They're going to figure it out. But in this situation, this seems a little extreme for that.
Yes. You know? And also to the point where she's like, attacking you and
not really like listening.
That's the end of that story. I found my husband's ex-wife in our home wearing only a towel.
The scandal.
That's the plot of Enchanted. A couple of days ago, I came home from a work meeting and was unpleasantly surprised to find my husband's ex-wife wandering around the house, fresh out of the shower, with only a towel wrapped around her body. Where was she wandering to? Your husband's bed?
Oh, no.
I felt absolutely hysterical, though I didn't show it. She had the keys because her daughter, who is also my husband's daughter, spends more time at our house than at hers, so she occasionally comes to visit her. By the way, this comes from Ethereal Wife, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So this time I didn't hold back. I demanded that she give me the keys and told her she wasn't allowed to come over while I was not home. My husband was asleep in the bedroom and had no idea that his ex-wife was even in the house.
Interesting.
That's so icky.
The plot is changing up.
Yeah, I thought it was the husband was like, hey, come over. We got a working shower.
Right.
When I asked my stepdaughter why her mother had stayed, she simply said that she wasn't planning to leave until her dad woke up. My mind immediately interpreted that as an attempt at seduction. In short, I took away the house keys and told her that it wasn't necessary for her to come see her daughter on weekdays when my stepdaughter went to her house already on weekends. If she needed to come over for something important, she had to ask for permission. She called me crazy, but my husband backed me up, which was the only reason she eventually left without making a scene. Today, I started wondering if maybe I overreacted and handled things immaturely, but at the same time, I don't want her around my 4-month-old baby when I'm not home. And there is an edit. To avoid more accusations, I checked the entire chronology of the cameras at home, and my husband was sleeping with our baby all morning. He didn't even know she was home, but he was angrier than me when he saw her and even insisted that we report her.
Wow.
And there are some relevant comments and I believe an update.
Oh my goodness.
But do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Again, at first, my mind was going to, what are they both doing?
Cheating.
Yeah, exactly.
But now I'm like, she broke into your house.
Yeah, and it's like, if they have a custody split where it's like she gets them on the weekends,
then why is she? Yeah, why is she
there?
then
why is she there to like visit? I've never heard of that being a thing ever.
No.
Ever.
Yeah,
that's pretty suspicious.
Very weird. Yeah, I think you are absolutely not the a-hole for setting those boundaries because that is creepy. Relevant comments. Does the ex-wife come by the house that often for a shower or something else? OP says she didn't usually come to the house much before, but lately she seems very concerned about being present in her daughter's life. And my stepdaughter wasn't that calm. In fact, she was the one who sent me a message saying that her mother was in the home, although I never thought I would find her in a towel. According to my stepdaughter, she had come home from work to check on her and told her she was going to take a shower without any other explanation. I checked some cameras and my husband had been taken care of and sleeping with our baby all morning. He didn't even notice she was home. Commenter 2, why did she have keys in the first place? And how old is the daughter? And we already know that because sometimes I think she has to take care of the daughter, pick them up. Yeah. OP, she always had the keys in case of an emergency while we're traveling. My stepdaughter is 17 years old. And the last thing, my husband has spent the night awake at work, so he slept all day. Although I also thought, like you at first, I immediately checked the cameras I have in some areas of the house to monitor my baby, including the bedrooms. Commenter 3, not the a-hole, you didn't overreact, but I would be suspicious of your husband. Might want to keep an eye on him. I mean, it seems like the husband's fine.
Yeah, the husband was a little more mad, so.
I think the husband's chill.
Yeah.
Was the house the husband and exes at some point? OP says, yes. The house belonged to both of them before they divorced, although legally it always belonged only to my husband, but she lived with him. And OP clarifies the details on how she met her husband. Was it during the time when her husband was married to the ex? OP says, no. I met him when they had been divorced for about 11 years.
Ooh.
But she did live there during their marriage. That's so weird. That after 11 years, she's coming back into the life and being like, I'm going to shower at your house.
Maybe it's like old habits kicking in. It's
Yeah,
like,
she's
I gotta take a shower. Gotta go to my old house.
sorry, I just forgot. Opie's like, you haven't been here for 11 years.
11 years, I think that habit would be broken.
It's been a decade.
She's like, no, it's just, I
Out of habits.
Force of habit, I
Yeah.
just slipped
Bad
and all my
habits.
clothes came off.
Oh
no.
OP on her husband's custody battle with his ex over their daughter and if the ex is dangerous to the daughter. OP says, before you judge, calmly ask yourself for explanations. She and my husband had a legal battle for custody because she wanted to move to another state and wanted to take my stepdaughter without my husband's consent. It had been a long conflict because she literally almost kidnapped their daughter.
Oh boy.
And if it weren't for me acting as a mediator on occasions, he would have already sued her on it.
Wow.
She's not a she wouldn't even try to be because my stepdaughter lives with us most of the time and we would notice immediately if something happened with her. Now, she has no intentions of taking her anywhere, of course, but that's why I spoke in the past tense all the time. And there is an update. What do you have any thoughts before we jump into that update?
Yeah, I'm just like, I wonder what she would do. Like, I just don't understand. I just don't get it.
What was her plan there?
Yeah, what's going on?
Clearly was not well thought out. It seems like she got to the house, was like, what do I do with the shower?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is an update 2 weeks later. Hello, it's me, the woman who found her husband's ex-wife in her house wearing a towel. We remember.
Yes.
I've seen that things have gotten pretty out of control to the point where it's spread all over the internet.
Oh, whoa.
And now it's here. So I'm here to clear some things up and give some updates. First of all, we've changed all the locks, and although my stepdaughter has her own key, she's not going to risk losing her father's trust after the serious talk they had. I mean, seems like she was kind of shocked that her mom was there. I mean, she texted OP.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like she's done nothing wrong in this scenario.
Yeah.
After my husband started the process for a restraining order, his ex-wife's sister reached out to us. She told us that the ex-wife was feeling empty and threatened because of me. I've been living with my husband in this house for 3 years, and she has never done anything like this before. So it seemed extremely strange to me that she would pull this kind of stunt right after I gave birth to my son. Anyway, my husband's ex-sister-in-law assured us that she was going to receive psychological treatment and that we could move forward with the restraining order. She just asked us to understand that the ex-wife seemed to be falling into some kind of depression that was preventing her from thinking clearly.
Wow. Interesting.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is pretty irrational action to take to go into your ex's house, take a shower, and then wear a towel around the house. As for why I feel so bad and why I haven't reacted more aggressively, I have an explanation.
Oh.
Since giving birth a few months ago, I felt slow, dumb, a bit confused about everything. I've never had serious troubles defending myself in English before, but now I do, and my emotions are all over the place, leaving me feel distressed in any dramatic situation. To wrap things up, I'd like to clarify a few points. No, my husband has not cheated on me with the woman he's been having issues with for 11 years. I checked the security cameras, and he was asleep next to our child during the hour his wife was showering downstairs. That bathroom is pretty far from the bedroom. My stepdaughter was barely involved in her mother's plan. In fact, she was the one who alerted me that her mom was in the house and that she had no idea why. Normally, her mom would let her know before visiting and only if my husband wasn't home. Yes, that woman only did it to get under my skin and make herself feel better. Spoiler, she won't be coming near my family again. But you know where you guys can come? You can come listen to full
You come to
episodes.
us.
Come to us. We're here. And listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there's a little bit left to the story. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting situation. She definitely needs help. I'm glad she's getting it.
She's getting help. It
It
seems like she's got a, support system.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that the daughter is old enough
Yeah.
to like know what's going on and
Absolutely.
to be like mature enough about the situation to communicate with both sides
Mhm.
well enough. You know, it's probably still hard on her, I'm sure. She's only 17, but at least
Yeah.
she's not like 11. you know?
Yeah, it's not like her mom could be taking her on her weekends and being like, your father is terrible.
Yeah, and she's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like
She's
she can
"Mom?"
actually know what's going on. Yeah,
But there is a little bit left to this story.
let's do it.
In any case, thank you for the support and all the advice. I'm glad to know that there are still understanding people who have stood by me in a moment where my emotions faltered and made me doubt myself. Top comments. Commenter 1 says, my guess is the birth of your son pushed her over. Until that point, she thought she had the upper hand because she and your husband had the bond of shared child.
Yeah.
In her mind, she was still the primary relationship and you were temporary. Now you have the ring and a child, and that blew up her fantasy.
Dang, man.
What a great comment.
Yeah.
Go forward with the restraining order. Her mental health is on her to manage, and she has her own relatives to support her through that. Commenter 2, not the a-hole. That is absolutely a violation of privacy and scary. She's being a complete creep and needs to be put in her place, aka out of the picture. Commenter 3, I remember this post. Glad you changed the locks. Although it's sad that the ex is having a mental health struggle, you are not obligated to deal with her issues and need to follow through on the restraining order to avoid any potential harm to your family and new baby. Remember, this woman may not be thinking clearly, so again, not worth the risk. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
Yeah, it seems like you guys got it figured out. It seems like she had like a kind of breakdown
Yeah.
and it was scary.
It doesn't seem like this woman has been mentally okay for quite a while.
No,
Not
it
at
seems
all.
like she's been dealing with a lot for 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years. Because, like, if she's feeling threatened now after her ex-husband got full-on married again,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's like thinking about that person as a threat is kind of crazy because it's like, well, yes, I am his new wife. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then, yeah, just with it being like more real for her now that they have a kid together.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
But
So, yeah.
they figured it out.
Yeah.
She's getting help that she
Getting the
needs.
help.
And they're going to have the rest of their life to hang out with their baby
There you go.
and their 17-year-old daughter.
There you go.
So there you go.
My husband's ex copies everything I do, but tells everyone I'm copying her. I'm not touching you. I'm not copying you. Let's just start here. My ex's wife, 35 female, used to be my 33 female best friend. I'm exhausted and love watching and listening. I'm hoping for some guidance here. I have been divorced for 7-ish years now. So let's back up to where things started, or rather, took a turn. The background is long, but will be the only way to get full context. By the way, this comes from CurveCrafty2319 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I was in the military and that ended in 2016. During my last 2 years, I required childcare. Luckily, when my mom up and left my son midday, so I think mom just kind of like pieced out randomly in that day, not like for eternity, but just like for the day, as far as we know, I was able to find care from one of my ex-husbands. We were both military and had chaotic schedules. This is where I met Hailey, so we'll call her. It's not her real name. Hailey and I quickly became friends as she had a son around my son's age. I bounced back from my birth and she took some accountability from me during this time. I was working out 2 times a day, working and taking care of both of the kids after work. My ex wasn't a very active parent due to how young the babies were. Fast forward, I have been out of the military for 1 year. This is 3 years of being best friends with her. She would drive down on occasion to see her family and stop by to see mine. Small world, her family was living close to my ex's. Cool, I get to see my bestie, win-win. I had also been in therapy for PTSD, anxiety related, during this transition out of the military as well. So I randomly vented to my therapist a few times about how while in school, my ex was not helping take care of the kids, expected me to cook meals, be a homemaker, etc., etc. We tried different things to spice up the relationship or to get his attention. Nothing worked. He didn't even want to talk to me, let alone help raise the kids. On my birthday, he got me a $40 vacuum cleaner. Then on Mother's Day, a week later, he told his entire family at the supper table that I didn't need anything because She is just doing her job. Why does she need a gift? To which my amazing sister-in-law went and got me flowers, a huge card, etc., etc. So the therapist said, bring up divorce. I did not tell my best friend this. In order for him to fully think about his feelings towards me and see how much effort he would put in during a separation, I went full in. He barely tried. Just said what I wanted to hear and nothing else. Fast forward a week, my best friend drove down and paid for the divorce. She then went back and forth between her home and visiting me, quote unquote, in my new townhome. I was near broke, so Section 18 housing. Fast forward a week, and we got wasted one night, and she tried to sleep with me. I told her to go away and locked myself in my room and fell asleep. The next morning, I was still pissed, and she wasn't responding, so I go to my house, still making payments on it, to go pick up the 2 kids, agreed upon day to get them. She was half nudie making breakfast in my house. 1 freaking week after filing for divorce. To think that all I wanted for him was to man up and start helping with the kids, and he just went and started screwing the babysitter.
Well, sometimes you just gotta go back to the classics, you know? Sometimes you can say, there's some new music out, but I think I'm gonna listen to an oldie.
Let's do a throwback. It's this brand new single titled The Babysitter. There's your backstory. So now that was just the backstory. We're going to get to the real story now. So fast forward a few months and I'm nearly homeless as I get kicked out of my degree because single moms without support systems don't make it. So I get a job downrange. I send gifts for the holidays. She opens them with the kids before I can get on FaceTime. She starts having my kids call her mom. She's still married to her ex, by the way, just playing house with my ex. She posts about me on social media nonstop, still true. I came back, tried to gain custody after my son got hit by her. Game over.
First of all, don't be laying hands on the children. Second of all, why are you nudie around the children? And third of all, where's the father? Where's the dad?
Well, so it's very confusing. This is what I think is happening right now. OP and the first woman mentioned, I think was her wife originally at the beginning of the story. I think they had kids together, or maybe it was like, they mixed the egg with the spicy juice, and had kids that way, I think. And then she was with a new guy, the most recent guy that's like, that they split and slept with the babysitter. I think maybe her most recent dude ex and her ex-wife are now together. That is about as far as I can understand the story.
So this is about the babysitter. No, this smackage was not the babysitter.
That, just playing house with my ex. No, I think this was her original wife. Because just playing house with my ex, she still posts about me on social media nonstop, still true. I came back, tried to get custody after my son.
So her ex was the girl, but not, wait. No? Hold on.
There was the wife.
Suit John, you're melting my brain, Suit John.
This is my understanding of it.
We need a whiteboard.
We need a whiteboard. Actually, yeah, can we grab that? I think in the beginning, Calcifer says, ex-husband with best friend that paid for divorce.
Okay.
I see.
There we go.
So that makes a lot of sense. So there was the ex-husband and then the best friend that was like, oh, hey, I'll pay for your divorce. She ends up getting with him. Okay. Yeah, Angelina Connolly says her husband and her best friend / babysitter are together. I see.
It was her best friend's hitting her kid? Oh, no. No.
Literally, like the levels of jail, and I am doing unspeakable things to you. It's
jail. I go to jail.
But we will continue.
I can't erase this.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll march forward. So the state and county he is in is effed. So I waste $50,000 trying to get custody, but because my job is in another state, I fail.
Gotta love when those systems work exactly as intended.
I will work on myself and start bodybuilding. 3 weeks after announcing my competition date, she announces hers. What the F? Whatever. This is my thing I'm putting my anger into. I do professional photos. 3 weeks later, she does them. Everything I realize I hate being so far from my kids, so I go back downrange to network myself into a job there in state. Literally, there are max 1,000 positions in my entire state for my job. Fast forward to 2019, I finally get a job offer 2 hours away from them. Great. Anything is better than nothing. I need to be in the same state to fight for custody. Finally, my comeback story. Years of sacrifice are going to pay off. I'm back and start the legal process. She dyed her hair blonde after I did. Great. The pandemic hits. I'm happily dating someone at this point. I become a yoga teacher because all of my veteran friends are not surviving. I had been doing yoga for 10 years since my first deployment to Afghanistan at this point. She announces that she is also becoming a yoga teacher.
She's so obsessed with this girl that she's trying to become her.
Honestly, you know what we should do? You start doing like daredevil stunts and like recording it for, like to post on Instagram, but you fake it, but it looks like it's real. So she has to like start doing these, like you sleep with tarantulas for 24 hours. You become Mr. Beast basically. And you just do these crazy challenges, but you're faking it. And it forces her to like have to go through all that until she quits.
Yeah, you're just doing Fear Factor, but like just make it AI Fear Factor.
Let's go. Whatever, Hailey, go F yourself. Next year, 2021, she tried to go to school to get the same degree I was never going to have. She became a veteran ambassador for the same charities I had been working with since 2020. She got pregnant and announced on Facebook that I was too.
That's not how that works, babe. You can't announce other people's pregnancies, babe.
I definitely was not. In 2022, she gained 20,000 followers on TikTok talking about her husband's toxic ex. That's me.
She turned you into a TikTok tea story.
This is crazy. I won't be her friend at all, so I'm toxic. Haha. In 2023, my friend and her tried to take the same vacation my husband and I took in 2022 through the same exact points during spring break. She can't just copy the video. She has to copy the script too. Then she spent early 2023 looking for a house that was similar to my and my husband's house. We own a 8,700 square foot mansion with 2 acres on it.
All right, flex.
All right, flex.
Pow, pow. Flex, 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 flex.
I started running a TikTok, here we go, and told us shortly after that she is getting a full hip replacement like mine, but worse. I had hip surgery, which is why I got out of the military. Is she getting a hip replacement just to copy her?
I wouldn't put it past her.
Oh my God.
That'd be crazy, right?
Well, fast forward to this year. And well, guess who is running half marathons just like me? Yup, old Hailey. Now I had a video over this weekend that she randomly liked, so I went to block her on TikTok. When looking at her page quickly, guess who is going back to school to finish the degree that I wanted?
I couldn't possibly guess who.
I have literally no idea. No idea.
Could it be her?
Could it be? Is it possible? I guess I just don't know how to deal with it. No matter what hobby I pick, she copies it. Literally. It's exhausting. My kids live with her, and she talks crap about me all the time, apparently. So I'm guessing she's still with her ex-husband.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can't leave the ex-husband if you want to try to be a clone of OP in your sick.
This is true in her sick, twisted mind. But then is also stalking my social media. They wanted me to get a job at McDonald's or Walmart and just fail. I sacrificed, and I'm winning. I have an amazing career. My husband is the best man I've ever met. He won't F the babysitter a week after we divorce. We succeeded together. We goal set. He makes me laugh, never yells at me, always helps. Oh, and I am pregnant.
Yay! See, that's how it works. You announce when you're pregnant.
Don't worry, guys. Hailey's going to do the same thing.
The kids find out next weekend, and I'm super nervous knowing how things are going. By the way, you never have to be nervous, because if you ever get overwhelmed, if it's ever too much, all you need to do is lightly, gently, like a feather on glass, tap our profile and join our lives every weekday at 3 p.m. PST.
Just give it a tap. And if when you tap it, it doesn't put you in the live, tap it again.
But as much as you guys love tapping it, I need you guys to love this banter discussion.
I think you need to take steps to protect yourself against this woman when she inevitably has some kind of psychotic break and attempts to, like, you know, unalive you and like take your skin.
She said she like fought for custody and lost, which is crazy. But I wonder if, what about restraining orders? What about, I don't know, invasions of privacy, or like there's probably like a lot of stuff that she could hit her with legally just to hopefully make her like at least, if not stop her, cause her pause. I don't know. Do something.
This might be one of those situations where if you do get the restraining order, you're actually going to just push this person to be even more intense with their like copycat weirdness.
But I would try to do everything possible that doesn't F up. But let's finish out the story here. So thanks for listening. I'd love to hear your perspective. Love the show. For reference, my ex is 35 male. Not that you need it. We were married from 18 until I was 26/27. Blocking doesn't help because then she just makes fake accounts. She also tells my kids that I'm copying her.
You're weird.
Just try to get your kids out of there if you can, I guess. Like keep on that train and just get the kids out of there in terms of like how to deal with this woman. Just watch your own back and know that she's just unhinged. And I don't think there's anything that you can really do to stop her.
Agreed. Yeah.
Ignore her and get your kids out of there.
But that's the end of that story.
I canceled my wedding after my ex cheated, but now my sister is trying to steal my wedding. I was meant to get married on the 1st of February, which was my and my ex-fiance's anniversary. We ended the engagement shortly after the new year because he cheated on me.
That's so rough.
Very sad. But at least it happened before you got married.
That's true.
Thank God. The wedding was initially planned with just my money, but was very low key, and my parents asked if they could put up some additional money to make the whole thing a bit bigger. And by the way, this comes from you-deleted on the OK Storytime subreddit. So by the end, about 60% of the wedding was paid for by me and 40% my parents' contribution. My ex and I had agreed that I would pay for the wedding while he covered the honeymoon.
Damn, you didn't even get to the honeymoon.
Yeah. My ex left me to deal with canceling the wedding as his money wasn't involved. That's super rude.
So messed up.
So he cheated on you.
Yeah.
And then was like, deal with the wedding.
Yeah.
Wow. And I turned to my mother and sister for help because I didn't have the mental or emotional capacity to call vendors and venues and whatever else and cancel everything. My sister is engaged and helped me with a lot of the wedding planning. Next thing I know, my mother and sister are asking me if I wouldn't mind my sister just taking my wedding.
Okay, I understand like optics here not good. I kind of get it.
It seems quite reasonable.
It seems
like
honestly,
instead of having to cancel everything and losing all of that money.
Yeah, as long as they're like, hey, we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
That I would think.
If
that's
they're like, we're
reasonable,
gonna take it, and
you still have to pay, that would be
for it.
crazy.
Yeah.
But if it's just like, hey, like I want to pay for it, is it okay if I take it? Wouldn't want to go to waste. And that way that you don't have to go through canceling.
Did sister cheat with fiance? That was another story. If you're referencing that other story,
yeah,
oh, that was a wild one.
That was a wild one.
Every part of it, from the venue to the cake and everything in between. The sole difference would be the wedding dress, and even then, she said if she can't buy off the rack, she might have to get mine tailored to fit her instead. I called off my engagement less than 3 weeks ago. I am an effing mess. I reached out to my family to help me cancel the wedding, and my sister is planning to take it over instead. Okay.
I mean, she asked you.
Yeah. OP seems quite mad, but it seems like her family's trying to be like creative and find a way to manage the situation.
I totally understand that she's going through a lot of emotions right now.
Sure. Yes.
But
we will recognize that.
Yeah.
My sister has rung round our family explaining that she's taking over before she told me that. Okay. Well, that's
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just be like,
cool.
assume that, OP is going to be chill with it.
Yeah.
And then just start telling the family. So they are all attending. Her fiance has contacted his family and given them the date he will be getting married. Okay, I understand why OP is mad now.
Yeah, I get it.
So before checking like, hey, like this is a crap show. Can we help out? I think creatively if we do that, like this would really help out. But they're just like assuming and then like telling everyone and like making plans around it.
That's not cool.
I found out all of this today. She asked me if I was okay with this, like she hasn't already arranged everything. I told her to go F herself. I have until the 23rd to cancel things and get the money back. Oh. You get the money all back.
Do you get all of the money back?
Yeah.
Or you get some, like you probably lose a deposit. Yeah.
There's a couple of things where I won't get money back at this stage, but over 2/3 of it is still refundable. But is the sister going to give you
That's what I want to know. If the sister's paying you everything, then that's different. But
yeah. The money will be refunded to the card it was paid by, so both me and my parents will get the correct amounts back. Everything is shut right now, but it's the 21st tomorrow. As I've not been in contact with these companies and it's my name on all the contracts, I have full power over this wedding. My sister said she'd pay me back eventually, but knowing her, I'll never see that money again. Okay, so that's...
I think what you can say is you can have the wedding if you pay me up front.
Or if you pay me by this date.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay me like...
but OP needs to cancel, so it's like she might not get this money.
No, like, are you gonna agree with me if we do this?
Yeah.
If you take over the wedding, you will pay me by this date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess it's like, what if she doesn't pay you by that date?
Yeah.
You can't cancel anything.
For sure.
So it's like I think you just have to say like, hey, you have to pay me by this, or I'm just gonna cancel it because I can't be sure that you'll pay me.
Yeah. Again, so eventually, but knowing her, I'll never see that money again. So would I be the a-hole if I rung round everything and canceled? Update.
I think just have a conversation with her and say, hey, that was like really inappropriate that you told everyone that you were taking my wedding before even
without
talking
consulting
to me.
with me. Like it possibly could have happened.
Yeah, I might have considered it, but you just assume so much. And if you really want this wedding, I'll consider it, but you need to pay me up front.
For sure. 100% a conversation.
Pixie Loved Us says, I'm so petty, I would cancel without communicating because she took over the date without communicating.
Josephine, I'm just trying to, update time. I talked to my sister. Who would have thought? And explained how upset I was and how hurt this made me feel. And she said that this was a good thing. And it would be therapeutic for me to see good come from bad. I said that is really not what it's feeling like on my end. And to me, it feels like I got cheated on a month before my wedding. And my sister said she would cancel everything for me. And then decided that getting married in my dress in the venue, my ex and I picked out together on my anniversary date. And this did not feel good. Yeah. From her perspective, also.
Pretty messed up.
Totally could see like this was the wedding. Oh my God, you're going to have your wedding. You're going to marry this person, be with them for the rest of your life. You get cheated on right before the wedding. And then you have to watch your sister have the wedding that would have been yours and get reminded.
So heartbreaking.
But to the detail of all the things you could have had.
The wedding dress too.
And to the wedding dress, yeah.
Yeah, pretty messed up.
I said, so this could have all been avoided if the sister was like,
just
what about this option?
Yeah.
And she's like, actually, no, that would make me feel like crap. And then it could have all been avoided. I said if she wanted to buy the wedding off me, then I needed payment in full. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you said. For my 60% by the 23rd, and I wanted to switch out our names on the contracts.
Fair. Very fair.
Very fair. She said she was hoping for closer to a payment plan where she paid me back 50% of the 60% I put down in monthly installments over the next 10 months.
Well, what about that last 10%? Does no one pay you back the last 10%?
What do you mean?
Like she's like, I'm going to pay you back 50% of the 60% over 10 months. So she's just not going to pay back the last 10%.
Oh, okay. So she's...
Yeah, it's just an extra 10% that she's not going to pay back.
Maybe. I don't know. She wanted to pay me back 5% per month for 10%. And I still want to get all of my money back. Yeah, what?
Yeah.
I've made calls and canceled everything. Everything was paid for by me and my parents' money, paid primarily for upgrades to the things I'd already bought. The money will be refunded to whoever paid for it, so myself and my parents will all get the correct money back. However, with some, like the caterer, we've lost the deposit entirely. With some, like the venue, they kept part of the money, average 50%. But some kept more and some kept less.
Whew.
And with some, like the baker, who was a family friend and hadn't started on the cake yet, thank God, they completely refunded it.
Good.
We found out from the last story how expensive cakes are.
Pretty expensive when you're in Gibraltar.
When you're in Gibraltar. I think the fact that I was open that the wedding was off because he cheated made them feel bad for me and probably made a few of them more lenient on refunds. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be
Seriously,
like,
I got cheated on. And they're like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like...
Yeah.
Just randomly trying to change the day.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like, no, like you got
they left
effed over.
Yeah.
Didn't just bring it up for the sake of it, but most of them asked if I'd wanted to reschedule. On the whole, I've gotten a little over half back, which is not as much as I thought. Really? Yeah.
That sucks.
You could have got more if your sister
paid
you over 10 months.
If you were willing to do the 10-month plan.
Yeah. The thing is that I put these cancellations through on the 21st, and if I'd done it on the 18th, 2 full weeks notice, I'd had gotten more, but they waited until the 20th to tell me. The dates are now... Oh, yeah, because she thought
she was
that
supposed to be, her sister was supposed to be canceling everything.
Yeah, so she thought her family was going to cancel it.
Yeah, and then they tell her,
didn't.
no, we didn't do that. We're going to take it from you. And she's like, what the frick?
So the dates are now open. The plans are now there. If she wants to rebook everything in her name, she's welcome to. She helped me with an F-ton of planning, knows the details better than I do, and she could easily rebook the exact same thing, or will probably be doing the vendors a favor considering how close we are to the big day. And if you want to have a big day every day, you can join us live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
Tap it.
Also, there's another relevant update, but let's discuss. But it feels like we discussed.
We've discussed.
We discussed.
We've discussed.
And we decided. Discussions.
Discussion's over.
Yeah. So some refunds will be instant. Some will take a bit of time. Longest is 2 weeks, and I'm no longer going on my honeymoon. So once all the refunds have come through, I might book a week away somewhere. Yeah, it seems like in other stories when like I just never seen someone do that.
What?
Just blow your hair out.
I do it all the time.
Nice. It seems like in other stories where people like the wedding like crashes or something.
Yeah.
That they just go on their honeymoon.
I think you gotta. It's like you got this trip plan. Well, in this case, she doesn't have a trip plan, but most times they have trip plans, and you're like, don't want it to go to waste.
Yeah. It's just kind of like so tainted.
Yeah.
Such a cursed
like,
trip.
oh, this is fun.
I could have gone on this with my husband, but he cheated on me.
I guess I'll go on it with my
I'm
family.
just gonna cry in a hotel room in Spain now.
I guess so.
Not sure what's happening with my sister, mother, family at large. In total, I would have gotten more back from my sister than I would from the venues, but it would be a year wait. 10 months wait.
Yeah.
On her repaying me versus a few weeks on the venues. Currently drafting a Facebook post to tell the family what happened without me looking like a total B. She's gonna post this on
Why? OP, let's think about
publicly?
it and then not. Let's not do it.
Let's make a different decision.
Let's not do that.
I have the way people use Facebook
So
sometimes.
I've been thinking about it and I need to let everyone know on Facebook.
I'm like, wow.
I don't know what chat's gonna think about this.
I have a feeling they've already guessed what went on, but only one way to make sure.
And that is the end of that story.
Again, it feels pointless.
Yeah.